and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, and welcome in to OTB 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jake, Alondra, and Cassie here with you on a Friday morning. If you hear the glee in the voice there, it's because, well, the Tigers got it done late last night. Well, late to those that have 5 children, 39 years old. Maybe it wasn't late to you, but it was late to me. They get it done 11-10, a game in which we are going to recap from every single angle, every possible way. But it is Friday. We are glad to be here. T-Bob and his fade are in Las Vegas for the Dead & Company concert. Can't say that I blame him. And before we get to something I think is actually hilarious, Alondra, Cassie, how we doing? Feeling good this morning, Alondra?
Yeah, feeling really good. That game just has me super pumped for the rest of the tournament and the rest of the postseason, to be honest.
Yeah. You were doing the game last night, right?
Yeah,
you worked the game.
I did, and I was in that studio like losing my mind. It was so crazy. It was such a good game.
Yeah, it was incredible. Can't wait to break it down. All right, so what was your faith level after LSU goes scoreless in the top of the 7th?
Okay, I was like, I don't know, but I feel like there's a little bit of something there.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what it was. I think Pearson reached base in the 8th, and I was like, okay, we're working with something here, and it just.
Yeah. Pearson got the hit that scored 2 that went between the legs.
Yes.
Of the first baseman.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well. Stuff like that doesn't typically happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it felt like a little
bit of
momentum,
magic.
a little magic went LSU's way. And again, we'll break it all down. Cassie, how you feeling this morning? I mean, I feel like I asked you today and we didn't get a grunt. We got an actual answer. So sounds like you're feeling good.
Yeah, I'm doing great. A lot better than yesterday. I went to bed last night before midnight, so it was much easier to wake up this morning.
I will say, the morning show is a completely different schedule. Mm-hmm. It is a completely different schedule because typically you're middays, right?
Yeah, I don't start Hunt Show until 1, so I usually don't wake up till 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I've been the 1 to 3 show before for a period, and so it's a completely different life. Glad to have you back in studio.
I've never not done
us.
morning.
Oh, you've only done mornings?
Yeah.
That is odd because typically, anybody that's worked in radio, they've gone across the gambit of, since I've been here, I was 6 to 8 at night when I first got here, and it was Monday through Thursday, which was kind of tight.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We didn't work Fridays because nobody would be listening anyways because it's Friday. And then I went to 1 to 3, and then I don't even. Hanny and I were 11 to 1, maybe.
Yeah.
Something random.
Probably
like that.
That's what he is now.
Okay, then that's what it was. And then I found I think I've hit every time slot outside of, what's AFR, 3 to 6?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that off campus is, it's 2 to 5.
Yeah.
So very similar.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Never not.
I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing that you've always worked
I know,
the
it's pretty
mornings.
brutal.
Yeah, it's not great. What's not brutal is the LSU baseball team, and we have got a couple of great guests lined up for you. Kade Poso is going to join us in about 25 minutes from now to recap last night and just really get a mindset of what LSU is thinking right now. And obviously, Kade, being here for so long, went through a lot of different situations with LSU baseball, knows the SEC tournament, obviously, and just want to catch up with him. He knows these guys. These were his teammates a year ago. We've got Bill Bender of the Sporting News at 8 o'clock because pay for play is here in college athletics, so we'll save that conversation for Bill Bender. We've got Connor O'Gara at 8:30 Saturday down south. And we've also, we got Jay Johnson. We just don't know what time. We've got Jay Johnson. He said if they won, he would come on. Well, the Tigers did win, and Coach will join us at some point. And the Tigers game last night, as we've already talked about a couple of times, it was an instant classic, certainly if you are an LSU fan. So many different moments in the game. LSU, they score the first run. Thatcher Hurd is dealing, right? And you're like, okay, well, if he can do this, that is going to be the thing that LSU needs. I mean, he gets through 2 innings so fast. He's striking guys out. You score a run. And in the top of the third, you're feeling really good about where you're at. Well, it comes unraveled there in the bottom of the third. You had a double that scored a couple of runs, and then you have a grand slam. Sorry, the double scored a run, and then you have the grand slam, obviously, that scores 4 in Messina right now. And we've seen this a lot, like before. Like, you get into the SEC tournament, and a player just gets so incredibly hot, you can't get him out. And the first time that Thatcher Hurd struck him out, it's almost like he tipped his hat to him. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to come back because I got you. And even though it wasn't Hurd that he hits the home run and grand slam off of, that's just a player that is incredibly locked in right now. And so after the bottom of the third, you're staring at the scoreboard, and it's 5-1 South Carolina. But what an answer by LSU to come right back in the top of the fourth. You get a Travinsky double to left center. You get the Milam single to right field. You get the Brown homer to right center. Then you get the Bear Jones Oppo Taco in the fifth. But in that fourth inning, what a call, what an answer by LSU. And Jake Brown was going to bunt the runners over. I mean, he showed bunt 2 different times. It's 0-2, and he leaves the ball field. And, Alondra, this is somebody that we talked about yesterday. It's funny, like, how that always just kind of seems to work out. Look, we're not geniuses by any means, but sometimes, like, when you just have a feeling and you feel something, and we talked about Jake Brown and inserting him into the lineup, because Paxton Kling, Mac Bingham, they just weren't getting it done. And it felt like, look, I don't know, Alondra, if Jake Brown can get it done, but it's like, you've already got a couple of freshmen in the lineup. Yeah. Why not allow him the opportunity?
Right. I mean, it wasn't going to hurt any if, like, you ran Kling or Mac out there and they did the same thing that Brown did. But, you know, he took advantage of the opportunity that he was given, and it was exactly what we needed at that time. Oh,
there's no doubt about it. I mean, it was an 0-2 count and just stays down the ball, shoulder inside the ball, and then drives it out of the ball field. He wasn't done yet, and we will certainly get there. As I mentioned, Bear hits that home run in the fifth inning. Now, credit to South Carolina, because every time that you answered, well, they kind of answered as well. So they score in the bottom of the fifth, and you just keep on going. It just felt like just punch for punch, blow for blow. And then you get the run in the sixth, and, like, you're feeling good about it. I know I was. It's like, okay, here you are. It is 7-6. We know what your bullpen has been. And then in the bottom of the sixth, a couple of calls, a couple of very close calls, a couple of 0-2 counts that you don't take advantage of. Or you had an 0-2 count, you hit a guy, you can't get that final out. And credit to South Carolina, because, again, they score 4 runs in the bottom of the sixth, and then you're wondering, okay, do you have enough left? You've answered every single time. You're going against the South Carolina team that lost 6 in a row coming into this SEC tournament, but they look just like you do. They're incredibly hot right now. Their offense is scoring, you know, all these runs in the SEC tournament. They're leaving the yard at a high clip. All of their hot players, right, are the players that you would expect for them to be able to go out there and kind of do what they're doing, right? Your best players playing their best at the most important time. So South Carolina is up 10-7. You're wondering, does LSU have yet again another answer? And then, Alondra, you mentioned that. I mean, Pearson, he hits it to first base. It looks like a hard hit ball, but it looks like a routine play for South Carolina. It goes right through the first baseman's legs. And so then you score 2, but you're still down.
Yeah.
You're still down 10-9, and, man, I just knew Travinsky was going to do some damage. And we talked about South Carolina, I guess it would have been, I think it was opening day, where they bring in Chris Veach, and we were talking about what he did to LSU last year. I don't know if y'all remember, but go back to last year's series against South Carolina. Remember, that's only a 2-game series. Game 3 got canceled, but Chris Veach came in, and the national championship winning lineup couldn't figure him out. They never got a beat on his changeup. And I was like, I mean, you know, football guy, I'm like, how can you not adjust to the changeup?
Just hit it.
What do we just hit it? What are we doing here? I mean, it looks like a softball up there. Well, he's got, as Hunt Palmer told us the other day, probably the best changeup in the SEC, and he gave Travinsky a really good one. I mean, it looked like Trav is just staring at that thing, staring at it, and then all of a sudden you look up and you try to time it up and you're late on a changeup. And so You don't score the tying run there in the 8th, and you're wondering, okay, is that the last opportunity for LSU? And credit again to the staff for coming back in the bottom of the 8th and not allowing South Carolina to add in any insurance runs. And so then we get to the 9th inning, and I don't know, Alondra, if you noticed this, but you look up and it was freshman coming to the dish.
Yeah, I did notice that. And I was going to say that we actually gave Stephen Milam player of the game last night because he went 4 for 5. And this was a really huge spot for him right here to lead off the 9th inning, where it felt like you wanted to get to the top of the lineup with Michael Braswell. And it felt like Stephen Milam needed to get on base to lead it off. And then Jake Brown could do whatever and Milazzo could do whatever, but Stephen Milam needed to get on base, and he did. And, I mean, that's all she wrote after that.
Yeah, and you don't have to be the leadoff guy to be a table setter.
Right.
It's just, no, a table setter is somebody that, when you get out there, you start whatever it ends up being. And Stephen Milam being 4 for 5 and being locked in, you can't talk about that enough, being a true freshman. And we've talked about it this week, last week. For him to be a freshman that he struggled in the fall, and Jay Johnson told us that, and he's like, I don't really think this guy's going to be able to help us out this year. And then he gives him some homework, basically, to go home back to New Mexico. Hey, here's what you need to work on. Says he comes back as a completely different guy. Okay, so you roll him out there at the beginning of the season, has a lot of success, and then he hits a freshman wall. We've all been there. If you've ever played collegiate sports, you have been there. Freshman wall is real. We all hit it. And he does. But I can't remember a player, and Chad, help me out. I mean, obviously, we got a lot of people in there been watching a lot of LSU baseball in their lifetime. I can't think of a freshman that started so hot, gotten a little bit of a slump. Now, he never really fell off the cliff and just completely disappeared, but to be able to bounce back at this level, to now be one of the players that you count on the most. I can't remember it, and last night he was that guy, and he was the table setter. He gets on base, and then credit to Jake Brown. I mean, he deserves a ton of attaboys. 3 for 5, 2 RBIs, the home run as we mentioned, also scores 2 runs, and doesn't try to do too much in the 9th, right? He just puts the bat on the ball, which we've been asking for this entire season, from kind of the position that he's going to play, the Paxton Kling, Mac Bingham role. Well, that's who he was playing last night, and just put the ball in play, and he does. I mean, he gets a little bit of a Texas leaguer right over the shortstop's head, and now you're first and second, nobody out, okay? I feel like we've also been there. There was a situation in the game, and group chat, I said, less than 2 outs, runner on third, drink, because you haven't been good in that situation. In fact, you've been bad. And this run that they're currently on, this form that they're currently in, they've been able to capitalize and cash in on those situations. And so, look, Ashton Larson didn't have a hit last night. But what did he do? He had a productive out. He moved the guy to third base. Paxton Kling comes in as a pinch runner, and he hits the ball deep and almost got all of it. He didn't, but he did his job, and he gets the runner to third, okay? Well, then here comes Alex Milazzo, okay? Veteran player. We've talked about it. You love pressure situations for him. Like if nobody's on, he looks like a completely different hitter. He gets into the box. Another solid 9, but he gets in there with a plan, and he drives the ball deep, and he almost gets all of it. He drives in the tying run. Productive out yet again. Something, again, we have not seen LSU baseball do a lot of this year. And in fact, there's many times where it just didn't show up at all. And then you get to the storyline. Then you get to Michael Braswell getting up against his former team and just kind of reading the situation. Alondra, if you feel different, let me know. But just reading the situation, it doesn't feel like there's any love lost between Braswell and South Carolina.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is, at all. And he said in the postgame, he was like, I have a lot of respect for South Carolina, but I'm a Tiger now. Yeah. And, yeah, I don't think there's any love lost. And I bet it felt really good to hit the –
I mean, even his first out, he hits the ball hard, but he lines out to the shortstop, and you could tell, the shortstop started shaking his head.
Yeah.
And Like even like just from the very get-go, it's like, all right, well, I don't really know what this relationship looks like. It looks like it's a little rocky. And then, of course, you go back, and there was times on Twitter where Braswell was doing an interview and, how happy he was to be at LSU. And you had Messina, who hit the grand slam, quote tweeted and just LOL. So there's been some pettiness in this relationship.
I think there's some social media stuff going on too, but
there is.
Yeah.
And so like for him to be up in that situation, he had already walked twice in the game. It was his first hit of the game, but he has been what you needed in the leadoff spot. I mean, he hits it right down the third baseline. You score the go-ahead, what ended up being the winning run. Just remarkable fight by this LSU baseball team. I mean, think about what South Carolina did to answer with their 5 runs in the third. You score 4 in the fourth. And then they come back and they score 4 in the sixth. And you score 2 in the eighth, 2 in the ninth. It's like they try to put you away. They're just like you. They're a baseball team that's fighting for their postseason life. Now, you're both in right now, but now you're still fighting. You're still trying to improve yourself. You're both trying to get where you feel really comfortable, where you're at, where you're going to be seated. South Carolina's probably already a 2. LSU's fighting for a 2, but both these teams are fighting for their postseason life as they headed to Hoover. South Carolina, again, had lost 6 in a row, and what fight you saw from the LSU Tigers. And, again, Kade Poso is going to join us in about 15 minutes from now to talk about that fight, talk about those situations with Jay Johnson, what some of his messaging is in those moments, because he told you he felt like LSU was one of the 10, 15 best teams in the country heading into this tournament. A lot of people eye-rolled that. They hand-waved it. Well, turns out that Jay Johnson knew exactly who his team was, and there's a reason they have an off day today. It's because they are still in the winners bracket. All right, we are going to step away. Again, we'll be joined by Jay Johnson at some point during today's show. We'll try to firm up a time on that. Stay locked in here with us. It is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to GoTommies.com. GoTommies.com. That's GEAUX Tommies.com. And once you get to the website, you can check out the gallery of work that they can do for you. That's windows, doors, and siding. And so when you check out the gallery, you'll be able to tell multiple different things that they can do for you. It can be as custom can be, whatever that you're looking for. You kind of give Tommy an idea. Hey, here's what I need. I got maybe an arch above my front door, whatever it might be. Like, it's okay. Like, they have seen that before. They've worked on that before. They can get that done for you. You can check out past testimonials of past clients if you don't believe us. But I can just promise you, when Tommy comes to your home, comes to the job, maybe it's at your place of business, you are going to know exactly what we're talking about. They're going to be able to get it done. That's why they've won the Angie's Service Award every year, literally every year since 2016. And so check out the testimonials on the website. Let them do the work for you. GoTommies.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
Hannegriff, join us for the Friday edition of Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road. Jimmy has the day off, but we will have former LSU coach Paul Maneri along with Bruce Marshall and Troy Macker. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Friday from Rufino's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, we are back here on OTB, kind of giving you an update on the SEC baseball tournament. As we mentioned, LSU now does get an off day, and that's why yesterday was so important. Obviously, you want to win the game, but also you get an off day. And in a tournament format like this, obviously that is going to be big because you've had, early games on Tuesday and Wednesday, certainly not game times that you're used to. And so for you to get that, and then you come back yesterday and you have that, long, almost 4-hour game against South Carolina, obviously an off day is something that you will take every single time. And now you're awaiting the winner of Game 13 between Kentucky and South Carolina, 2 teams you have already played here in this SEC tournament. Obviously, being a team that has the bye, you have been victorious over both of them. And just like we all had it, the number 11 seed LSU Tigers in bracket 1 have the bye. And right now over in bracket 2, the number 8 seeded Vanderbilt Commodores are waiting on their opponent between number 1 Tennessee and number 5 Mississippi State. So Vanderbilt and LSU, 2 teams, again, that were fighting for their postseason life heading into this tournament. Now, you felt better about where LSU was compared to where Vanderbilt was, but both teams were probably in the tournament heading in to Hoover. But I believe Vanderbilt was on last 4 in line, according to D1 Baseball, heading in to the SEC tournament. They are not, now firmly in the tournament. They are off that last 4 in, according to D1 Baseball at least, because now their last 4 in, Kansas State, James Madison, Georgia Tech, and Cal. First 4 out, Troy, Northeastern, Coastal Carolina, and Xavier. Now, we told you earlier in the week on Monday, after you swept Ole Miss, where LSU was projected to be. And they were in the tournament, but they were a 3 seed. They were a 3 seed in the Oklahoma State Regional. Now, D1 Baseball has done a great job, and it's one of the best websites out there, d1baseball.com. They have today, this morning earlier, updated their projections on the teams getting in. So the field of 64, and they still have you going to Stillwater, Oklahoma. But the big change is you're now a 2 seed in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and not a 3 seed. I believe the teams, when we laid it out on Monday, it was Oklahoma State, Dallas Baptist, LSU, and Lamar, I believe, was that 4th team. Now it is Oklahoma State, LSU, Oregon, and McNeese. And so you still get a Southland Conference team in there. You just swap Dallas Baptist and Oregon, and you move up from the 2 to the 3. I mean, Alondra, it doesn't do – I mean, it's not really any different. The only thing that really matters is you'll be the home team in the first game, not being the 3 seed and being the 2 seed. But, as a team that was wondering and knew what they had to do to get into the postseason, you're not going to be mad at being a projected 2 seed right now.
Not at all. Especially like with the way that you started SEC play, and it was kind of a little rocky there for a minute.
Minus a little. You were 3-12.
Yeah.
I appreciate the way you said that, though.
I'm just saying. But I also saw Cokie Riley tweeted out that Baseball America has LSU projected to go to Southern California with a regional for UC Santa Barbara. With, UC Santa Barbara, Oregon State, and Grand Canyon. So, I mean, it's just a waiting game at this point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, travel for an LSU baseball team, Southern California's farther, but you're on a charter flight, and I'm not really concerned by that. Now,
weather's great.
The weather is great in Santa Barbara. I can guarantee you that. Now, I would expect kind of like D1 baseball for Arizona to be that 2 seed out in Santa Barbara's regional. They've got UC Santa Barbara, Arizona, TCU, and Wright State.
Yeah.
Now, maybe if you were still a 3, then maybe you end up in Southern California there. Either way, you're going to be somewhere in a national seed of a 12, 13, 14, probably somewhere in that range. And quickly we'll go through this because we got Kade Poso joining us here in a matter of minutes. You've got still Kentucky, the number 1 overall seed, Tennessee 2, North Carolina 3, Texas A&M 4, Arkansas 5, Clemson 6, Oklahoma 7, Georgia still an 8, which is important obviously for super regionals. So even with the early exit from the SEC tournament, Georgia still sitting there at number 8. Florida State coming in at number 9. Florida State, remarkable story. I mean, obviously, a great program, has been for a very, very long time, and we've seen them here in Baton Rouge for a super regional. But Florida State missed the ACC tournament a year ago, and they've been able to bounce back, and now right on the verge of being a top 8 seed nationally. You've got UVA at 10, NC State at 11, UC Santa Barbara at 12, Oklahoma State at 13, Oregon State at 14, which isn't going to have a conference maybe next year. That's the whole situation. Indiana State holding on at 15, and East Carolina holding on at 16. They moved back 1 spot. I don't know about that one. East Carolina, they've got the off-campus curse where I talked really good about them on my afternoon show. And if I do that, it is a curse for your team because you're probably going to go the other way. And we did that to East Carolina. They got hammered by Wichita State 14-4 last night in their conference tournament. But still, according to D1 baseball, at least, holding on to a host spot there at number 16. All right, we will step away here, and when we come back, we will be joined by Kade Poso. Looking forward to that conversation. He's been in this situation, what it felt like for him and what he's seeing from these LSU Tigers and how they're getting it done in Hoover. We'll have Kade Poso when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to PECbuilt.com, PECbuilt.com. That is Pinnacle Exterior Construction. Now, we've been telling you over the last couple of weeks and really months what they can do for you, what they can do in your backyard space, because there's so many different options, right? It can be as custom as you want it to be, right? It can be bells and whistles all over the place. They can come in and they can certainly get that done. But also, like, if you're looking for a spec pool, don't think it's just like one option. Like, it's a full pamphlet of options you have for you. So it's like it's depending on you, because regardless of which one you choose, they are going to get it done. And they've done it for so many here in this Baton Rouge area. All right. And also, as we told you yesterday, they are hiring project managers and designers. So you can contact them on their website for more information on that. Again, project managers and designers over at Pinnacle Exterior Construction. Find that website today at PECbuilt.com, PECbuilt.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When things heat up, you don't just want a cold one. You want the coldest one. The cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged one. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I'm out on Friday, but Musso is in. Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Musso talking some LSU football and catching you up on everything in the college baseball postseason. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in to OTB here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Very excited for this next conversation. LSU baseball legend, someone who was on the all-tournament team in Omaha last year. He's been all-regional team before in his LSU career. And look, people forget this, a mean middle linebacker for John Curtis back in the day as well. Got to get that in there. Our guy, Kade Poso, joins us now. Kade, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, baby? Good morning. Good morning.
All right, man. We got to talk about these Tigers. I mean, last night, being able to get it done, and just time and time again, this team just shows fight. Not only like here in Hoover, but really just down the stretch to be able to be where they're at. But let's focus on last night's game. Like, Kade, how difficult is that to, get out to a lead, and then the other team comes storming back, and then you get the lead again, and then here they come again, and they just put up multiple runs, and it looks like the game's so far away, and LSU chipping away in the 8th and the 9th, and then ultimately, obviously, getting it done. Like, what's the mindset in a game like that where every time you feel like you get the lead, the other team answers?
Yeah, I mean, dude, that game last night showed a lot, man. First and foremost, it shows that this team specifically has that dog in them. They've been really hot, playing really good baseball. Like you said, they went up, and then they got punched in the mouth, down 5-1. And then that's where you find out what you're made of. Come back, they take the lead again, back and forth all night, man. And there's a dogfight, two great teams going at it. And, we were able to get some clutch hits late and make some plays late in the game that's why we're going to win in the postseason, starting next week, Super Regionals and so on, because of that game right there. It's easy to, be motivated when you're blowing a team out, but that dogfight right there, that's how you know LSU's special right now.
And Kay, they've had that dog in them really, I mean, what is it, last, 6 weeks. They've been playing different baseball.
Dude, they've been playing great.
Yeah, and they've had to play basically, like Coach said, like Game 7 postseason baseball for like the last month and a half of the season. Like, I don't know if you were ever a part of a team like that, but just to be able to be locked in, stay focused, like I got to give Jay Johnson a ton of credit for being able to put his team in that position. You're 3-12, Kate, at one point in the SEC, but you kind of look at the schedule, hey, here's what we have to do, and I'll be damned, they got it done, and now they're going to be in the postseason.
No doubt, man. As long as number 2's standing in that dugout roaming around, man, I feel good about the Tigers. I'll say that. That he's special, man. Yeah, we're very lucky to have him here at LSU, and he's going to continue to do great things, for the rest of his career here.
So, Kate, last year whenever we had Jay Johnson on and you're wondering, okay, man, we know the lineup, but does LSU have enough pitching, and are they going to have enough arms in Omaha? Like, he was like, hey, I got a plan. We have a map. We have a road map. We kind of know what it looks like. He came on like 3 weeks ago. And he's like, look, we got a plan. We got a roadmap. We know what we're going to do. And part of it was like Gage Jump starting the opening game of the SEC tournament. Like, at the time when he said it, they didn't even know if they were going to be in the SEC tournament. There was still work to be done. Like, he's got like, and I've known Jay since he was an assistant at San Diego, like a long, long time ago. And he's been this guy his entire career. Like, he's got like Nick Saban levels of like his process and knowing exactly what he wants to do before it happens.
Dude, I tell you what, man, like I wish everybody could kind of see what that man goes through on a daily basis, how much work he puts into winning a college baseball game. Bro, it's impressive. And, he does love Nick Saban. We have a lot of quotes he pulls from Nick. I mean, obviously, Nick's the GOAT of college football.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he pulls a lot of quotes from him, and it's that same mindset he tries to take to baseball. And dude, it's awesome, man. But, yeah, you won't have a more prepared coach in the country than, number 2, Jay Johnson.
All right, Kay, one of the things that stood out to us last night going into, the top of the ninth inning, you had freshman coming up in the lineup. And, these freshmen, certainly 2 of the 3 freshmen that batted there in the ninth have been a big reason why you're in the position that you're in. And I want to talk about Stephen Milam here, and I want to kind of point him out because for him to be a freshman that was playing really well at the beginning of the season, but then fell into a slump, to be able to bounce back and come back away from that slump as a freshman. Look, you were a freshman once. I was a freshman once. We all run into the freshman wall. It is a real thing.
Yep.
Speak on him being able to come back from that slump, and now he's thriving again like he started the season, how difficult that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. Because you probably never experienced failure up until that point.
It's true.
Everybody's, really good where they come from, and there's probably not as many good players around the area. And, for that kid to, stay with it all year and, come through in the biggest moments of the season, there's a reason why he's batting where he's batting. And, we know who got the first RBI on the board yesterday for the Tigers. He's been playing great, man. Really good defensively. That's one thing I'm so impressed with. I mean, he makes plays that are really hard look super easy. He's a switch hitter. He's got some pop. And, man, he just controls the strike zone really well. And, the coaching staff speaks highly on him, and you can see why, man. Every time he plays, great player.
Catching up with LSU baseball legend Kade Poso here on OTB, and I know you have to appreciate seeing your guy Alex Milazzo. Now he's the everyday catcher. He's taken over that role, and we know what he can do handling the pitching staff. But, man, he has been so clutch with the bat. It's almost like you want him to come up in the most pressure-packed situation because it feels like that's when he thrives. And yet again, last night, right, he almost gets all of it, but productive out.
Oh, dude, I was trying to blow that ball out on the TV, man. I texted back the game.
Oh, man.
Man, that would be great.
It felt like he got every bit of it. And it was going to be like poetic justice because, the outfield, they're all up and they're expecting it to be in front of them, and he almost gets it out of the ball field. But he does his job. And just like throughout his LSU career, man, regardless of what people are saying around him, the guy just gets it done.
Right. Yeah, man, he's a ball player, Al's like an old Chevy, man. He just keeps on going. But, I mean, he's a great player. He's a great defensive catcher, great leader. It's evident when you watch him play that, he has full respect of his teammates and he controls the pitching staff unlike anybody in the country. And, he takes quality at bats every time, whether it's moving runners, getting runners in, sack bunting runners over. And last night almost popped one out of the yard, man. But, he looks so comfortable in the box right now. And obviously Al's one of the most fierce competitors I've ever been around. All the teammates would say the same thing. So it's super happy to see that guy get some success right now.
Nothing says you're old and you've been playing for LSU for a long time like having the name Al.
Big Al, baby. Let's go.
All right, another great name, Bear Jones. Obviously somebody that you've worked closely with. And, I'm sure obviously being that you played first base in your career, I'm sure y'all have had many conversations about how talented he was and what he could do. And maybe even some of the adjustments that, you expected him to make, because we talked about it. Freshman come onto the scene last year. I mean, he was thriving, and then it struggled down the stretch and had big moments still in super regionals. But he looks like a different player this year. Feels like he is locked in. Even the slump that he was in heading into Hoover, now he's hitting oppo tacos in big games like he did last night. Talk about the growth of Bear Jones.
Dude, I mean, he's had an unbelievable year, man, and super happy and proud of that kid. When Trey and I kind of were watching Bear when he first got on campus, and obviously we're all at first together, and we were just having side conversations like, dude, this kid's special, man. Yeah. And when he hits the ball, it looks like it hurts the ball when it leaves the pad. Dude, it's crazy, man. But, he's obviously made some adjustments this year. He knows what teams are going to try to do to get him out. And, he's made the adjustment and had a phenomenal year. And, I don't think LSU's in the position they are right now without Bear. It's really tough to imagine this team without him, honestly.
All right, Kate, so now, I mean, look, you're firmly in the NCAA tournament, but you're here in Hoover. You've got an off day. You're in the semifinals. Obviously, you want to go finish this deal and win the SEC, but, what changes for you as a player? When you know that the postseason's coming and you've been in this dogfight. Like I said, 6 weeks, you kind of been Game 7. Is there anything that you do different, or you just try to keep all the momentum that you have? What was it like last year for y'all as y'all heading into the postseason? What were those conversations like from Jay Johnson?
Coach Jay does a really good job of kind of explaining how the whole season is basically a playoff game, and you'll hear him touch on that all the time.
Yeah.
He says the season is a 56-game playoff. You're playing for the postseason, the entire season. Whether it's midweeks, weekend, SEC tournament, it's all going towards one goal. But it's no different mindset. One good thing about the postseason, though, is everybody starts 0-0. The regular season does not matter at that point, and you see some of the best teams get bounced out early because of that reason. And then you see some teams right now that are just getting really, really hot. That if I'm on Selection Monday and I see LSU pop up in my regional, I'm pretty pissed. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm not happy.
No, there's gonna be a team that's pretty upset. And at least it's gonna be probably a 2 seed now. I really can't imagine, Kate, if it would have been a 3 seed, which they were heading into the SEC baseball tournament. Some poor host team is going to see the purple and gold in their regional and know that the fans are going to travel and that team's going to show up as well. So we look forward to finding out where they're going to be playing postseason baseball. Kate, I know you've got somewhere you've got to be. We truly appreciate you hopping on with us and giving us a couple of minutes this morning.
Man, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. And let's go Tigers, man. Let's win the whole thing. We might as well win it now. We're there. Let's go.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. There's only one thing left to do, as the great Jake Taylor once said. That was Kade Poso, LSU baseball legend. Good enough to join us, as I said this morning. He's got a real job, so he had an 8 o'clock meeting. So I was like, I promise you we'll have you in and out. So I appreciate him. And I wasn't lying about him at linebacker, John Curtis. He was a dude. I remember covering their state championship games there in the Superdome. All right, we do have Jay Johnson confirmed as well. That's going to be at 9 p.m., and so in the next segment, we'll probably still come back and talk a little baseball. We will have Bill Bender of the Sporting News, as I mentioned earlier, join us at 8 o'clock. Pay for play is here. That is now something that is going to happen in college athletics. A lot to get into with that conversation, even though we've kind of known that was going to be what it looked like in the end. It's still a little surprising to see it happen this soon. Connor O'Gara Saturday down south at 8:30, and again, Jay Johnson at 9. All right, we will take that break. More OTB when we come back your way here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to communitysteelco.com, communitysteelco.com, and like we often tell you, because, well, they start when we start, they're already there in Gonzales, Louisiana, waiting for you over at Community Steel. So if you want to find out where they're located, you go to communitysteelco.com. It's going to be in the top right corner of the website. Once you click on that, it's going to pull up a map and show you exactly where you can show up. Again, they've been there already for 45 minutes waiting on you to answer any of your needs for metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal that we always talk about, steel framing. They have got you covered. And so you go over there and you tell them what you need. And if you can't get there today, by the way, like that's okay. That's not going to be an issue because they can service throughout the state of Louisiana. So no matter where you're listening to us, pick up the phone, give them a call today, 225-647-2020 and communitysteelco.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Right Radio Hours return. We're recapping LSU South Carolina, getting you ready for a weekend in Hoover. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, so the fellas in the chat are letting me know I said 9 p.m. for Jay. I don't think it's 9 p.m. I think he's going to join us at 9 a.m. I think.
I didn't agree to be here until 9 p.m.
Yeah, I ain't going to be here either, Magic Johnson style. Look, I do an afternoon show as well. I'm probably going to get AM and PM mixed up a couple of times today. Maybe I say, what does Gordy say? I think he just says A and P. I don't really like that either, so I'll probably stick to just getting it wrong. There's a chance that this gets called off campus today. I'm going to be real honest with you. I have it written down. So I've been doing this show, I don't even know how long, 4 years almost, and I wrote down OTB on my piece of paper just so I don't call it the wrong name. Because, look, it is what it is. There's a lot of offs, okay? I do off the bench, I do off campus, and I do off the pitch podcast, okay? A lot of offs.
Yeah, that's a lot to get.
And I didn't name any of these shows either. It just so happened to be the name of the show. So, 9 a.m. for Jay Johnson. I appreciate y'all pointing that out because we ain't going to be here at 9 p.m., and neither will you, okay? We mentioned Baseball America and where they had LSU slotted Alondra. They have updated theirs. They literally just happened. So Baseball America has updated their field of 64. And a lot of the same. Now they like Tennessee better than they do Kentucky. D1 Baseball has Kentucky as a 1. Baseball America has them as a 3. North Carolina was a 4 in D1 Baseball. They're a 2 in Baseball America. So there's some differences. And where LSU is heading would be a different part of Oklahoma for the Tigers. Stillwater, according to D1 Baseball. Norman, according to Baseball America. Baseball America has LSU as a 2 seed, with Oklahoma obviously being the 1, LSU the 2, Georgia Tech the 3, and Abilene Christian the 4. And their last 4 in, they've got Kansas State, Georgia Tech, Northeastern, James Madison. Remember, Northeastern was a first 4 out over at D1 Baseball. Their first 4 out is UNC Wilmington, Troy. Poor Troy. Looks like they're going to be out both polls. Cincinnati and Louisville. Next 4 out, Cal, Xavier, Kansas, and Georgia Southern. So, Alondra, if I said you can go with the Stillwater regional, right, that features Oklahoma State being the top seed, LSU the 2, Oregon the 3, McNeese the 4, or you can go Norman with Oklahoma, LSU, Georgia Tech, Abilene Christian. Which one you choosing?
To be honest, I don't hate either of those. But
no,
I think I'm going to go with the Stillwater regional.
I think Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's good.
Yeah.
I think they've had some favorable things go their way this year. I think the Big 12's down this year, so both teams, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, I truly think it's a conference that typically is really good, is down. So I go to the 3 seed. Does Georgia Tech out of a solid ACC, or does Oregon? Like, which one would you rather face? And so I think I'd rather face Oklahoma State when it came to the 1 seed, but I think I'd rather face Oregon when it came to the 3 seed.
Yeah.
Look, honestly, regardless of how it plays out, you know you're going to have to go on the road. You know the 1 seed is going to be a good baseball team, right? So like the 3 and 4, maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. I think if I'm choosing, let's go Oklahoma State. Sure.
Yeah.
Let's go Oklahoma State. Let's go Stillwater there. Georgia Tech would make me not nervous if you're scared by a dog, but Georgia Tech's a good baseball team. And the ACC's good this year. I think the ACC has some really quality teams. I mean, you look at Clemson, projected 6 seed, Baseball America. North Carolina projected 2 seed. I think it's a conference. Florida State is anywhere from a 9 to an 11, depending on where you're looking at. UVA is another regional host. NC State is another regional host. And so the ACC is incredibly solid this year. And so I think I would rather have the Oklahoma State, Oregon, and McNeese regional.
I think so too.
Now that we're sitting here and we're talking it out.
Yeah.
So either way.
I don't hate either of them.
I don't hate either of them either. I don't. And if you end up in Oklahoma, LSU fans going to do everything they got to do to find their way.
That's close enough.
They're not going to have the majority. We understand that, but it's close enough where they will find their way, and they will certainly be there. So you've got LSU now in a situation where you didn't know if they were in the tournament, and now they're firmly, it seems like a 2 seed, which is that. Look, that was the goal, was to solidify yourself. I didn't know that they could jump up to a 2 seed, but that's why Jay Johnson took this tournament like he did. That's why Gage Jump throws. That's why Luke Holman throws. Look, it might be the meathead mentality, but if you listen to me in the afternoons, you know we call it meathead radio for a reason. Like, I love the mentality of why would I just say, hey, look, guys, we're throwing the guys thrown 3 2/3 all year long. It can be the smart way, and maybe it is, but it's a loser mentality for me. Okay, Again, I'm telling you, it's a meathead way of thinking, but I love it. I love that it's like, hey, we're going out there. We got work to do. Let's go do that work. Let's go continue what we've started. Because how many times do you see an SEC baseball team? We saw it, last year for some teams, not LSU, they won the whole thing, but we saw it where, you kind of take the tournament off. And then you can't find that mojo again, and you don't even get out of regional play, or you lose your super regional. I guarantee you, I'm speaking in absolutes here, I guarantee you one of the top 4 seeds in this SEC baseball tournament that took this tournament lightly doesn't go far in the postseason, because you're playing great baseball and you hit the brakes and you tell your team this doesn't matter. And when you tell your team that, they relax too much and they can't fire it back up. It's not on command. You can't do that. It's not the way it works. And I love the way Jay Johnson attacks every single thing that he does. We're going to attack hour number 2 of OTB when we come back.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com. allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com. School is out, and you've got the vacation. Now, the vacation's probably already planned, and if you're Taylor, it's been planned for like 6 months, but that's psycho behavior. But you don't have to be a psycho to have your vacation planned. But you can call over to All-Star right now, and even if that vacation is tomorrow or Sunday or Monday during the holiday, Tuesday, whatever, you can get that rental, okay? Because maybe you want to save miles on your vehicle. Maybe your vehicle's not big enough. Maybe you need a Sienna, a Sequoia, or maybe I don't know this world, but maybe you're having a weekend getaway, right, with the Mr. or Mrs., and you can get a sedan, right? You can trade, you don't have to take the big SUV. Maybe you want something better on gas mileage. Whatever it might be, everything is available. You're not going to find that anywhere else. Everything is available in that rental process over at allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck. your #1 park system in the nation.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, and welcome back in to OTB here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. There is no T-Bob Hebert. He took his fade to Las Vegas to go watch Grateful Dead. Well, I guess it's Dead and Co. And so I am a little jealous in the sphere. And so there's no telling what T-Bob is doing right now, but I know what we're doing here on OTB, and that's catching up with my guy Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Bill, what's going on? Hope you're doing well.
So T-Bob's a dead guy too? I should have went with him.
Yeah, he is fired up, and I can't even get mad at him. And look, Bill, it's like if you're gonna go see Dead and Co. and you plan a trip, like you should probably do it in Las Vegas in the Sphere. Like that just feels like that's doing it right. I don't know if have you seen any of the video coming from because they're doing multiple shows there. I mean, it is trippy, like in a good way there in the Sphere.
It can be trippy in a bad way too.
Yes. Yeah. Well, T-Bob, that's later on tonight for T-Bob.
We'll find out. I'll be definitely following him on social media for sure.
All right, Bill. Gosh, I mean, this landscape in college athletics is forever changing, and the landscape that we have known for 100 years that moved at a snail pace is now moving at like Usain Bolt speed, and the NCAA and its leagues have agreed to allow schools to pay their athletes. The NCAA will pay over $2.7 billion in damages to past and current athletes over the next 10 years. The agreed-upon plan allows schools to give roughly $20 million a year to its athletes. We've known this was probably going to happen. I didn't think it happened this fast, Bill.
No, and I think it's a measure to keep the business moving.
Yeah.
Because we knew this was coming. And now my question is, and a couple things. My questions always go straight to the Super League because I'm all about players getting paid. I'm glad they're getting paid. I'm glad the 22% is going to go towards student athletes, and what the schools do with that,
right?
We'll see. Now, what schools can withstand it? What schools can actually do this? And that's where we get into the Super League discussion. So,
yeah, point.
I would say that's the next part coming in the next 5 to 10 years, and they're setting the groundwork for that.
That's actually a really good point, Bill. And I guess like now the conversation is going to be which of these Power 4 schools can actually get that done. Like you're right. And I think a lot of people on the outside just assume that every school can get that done. We'll have to see. I mean, there's some schools that are, play Power 4 football, and I'm still getting used to the Power 4, that like they get by on the edges, and maybe they can't take a hit like this. And so the Super League that we're talking about, again, it's another thing that I think we feel like is down the road, but down the road in today's college athletics is right next door.
Right. That's what I was going to say. 5 years ago, 7 years ago, I guess, if you'd have told me, hey, Billy, Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC, I would have said maybe. USC and UCLA in the Big Ten, I've said what?
Yeah.
So it definitely is moving in, or SMU in the ACC, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're moving towards those type things. Now, the money's important. The next piece of this, and I talked to Jim Cavelli at athletes.org about it, is are the student athletes going to have some representation? Are they going to have a union? Is this going to be able to, so they can have a voice in what that revenue looks like and what benefits look like and how does this, and then the other part, Jacob, that nobody's really talking about that I'm wondering is, how does the actual academic side of this fit in? Do they still have to go to school?
You know what? I don't think in 2 years I've heard anybody mention academics or school. And I'm not even trying to be like, I honestly, like, I don't even hear that be a part of the conversation anymore, Bill.
And that's not, it's not a good thing, right? Because what percent of these student athletes on the football side aren't going to the NFL? You know, and I think that's something to keep in mind, because if you're going straight to college just for the NIL, probably the wrong thing. So, I think these are questions that are going to have to need to be answered as we move very quickly and briskly into this new chapter of college football.
Bill, do you think anything happens with scholarships and room and board and all the things that, that used to be like when I was a player in college football, that's what that was your payment, right? You got room and board, and you got, actually, I think we had a limit on meals that we could get back then. We couldn't eat all that we wanted like they can now. But,
right.
I think we got like a scholarship check to live off campus was $495 a month, which in Baton Rouge didn't really cover half of the rent. But like, are we going to see pushback on those things? Like, are people going to say, hey, if we're giving you revenue share of $20+ million, whatever that number is, we ain't paying for your school? Like, do you think we get to a point there where scholarships go away?
Well, that'll be a discussion. And then what about the other sports?
Yeah.
Do they get, that's the big thing with me, is how are we paying for the other sports? Do they get unlimited scholarships? We've talked to you a little bit about lacrosse and baseball and those kind of things. What do their scholarships look like? And it's interesting you say that, because when I was in college, I lived with two guys that were walk-ons on the football team. So, like, the idea of, I've talked to them about it. I was like, do you wish you played now? And they're kind of like, yes, we would have got more than the extra pair of sweatpants, that you got, that I ended up stealing from them anyway.
I kind of wish I was playing now too. I feel like I would have done decent in the NIL space. There's no question about that. I mean, some of the numbers we're seeing are way more than I made my 6-year NFL career. I can promise you that. Hey, we just need to move that date. 2016 is the back pay. Can we move back to like 2006? Can we go back another 10 years?
I feel like you definitely, that's who NIL is designed for, right? You had and I'm not, kissing up to you because I'm on your show. You had an awesome career at LSU, and there are LSU fans that still remember you and will always remember you. I think I've always kind of said this is for Troy Smith and Tim Tebow and Tommy Frazier and guys that maybe, didn't have prolonged NFL careers, but you got to the league and played for 6 years. Those guys didn't. So, I mean, the guys that are able to, be legends with their program, this is who this is supposed to support. That's my opinion. That's what I've always thought about NIL to begin with.
Yeah, I actually love that you brought up Tommy Frazier, because when I had the conversation, when people were against NIL and I was for it, Tommy Frazier is typically the name that I use as a great example. I'm like, look, this guy was the pinnacle of college football. And also, like, Eric Crouch was another name that I used. I wasn't trying to just use Nebraska-only players, but I'm like, look, these guys were Heisman Trophy winners. These guys were household names, but their skill set and the offense that they ran, it didn't allow them to have an NFL career, and they didn't make millions upon millions of dollars. And their time to make the most on their name, image, and likeness was in college. Even Tim Tebow. I know Tim was a first-round pick, but, I mean, if you knew the NFL and how it worked, you knew it wasn't going to be, a 13-year career for Tim Tebow. And so, like, that was the time that they could, benefit off their name, image, and likeness, because there was no professional career.
You're right. And I know you have the show with Bobby up here in Columbus. I think a name that would pop up would be, Matt, you imagine the opportunities Cardale Jones would have got after the national championship.
No doubt.
Like, I mean, it would have been off the charts. And they, Cardale and Braxton Miller and some others, they're on here. And, Bobby certainly made a successful career up here as well after his NFL career. But you want that to supplement. So here's my next question for you is revenue coming. How much do you think schools and I don't think NIL is going away. I think that will be the supplement to the salary cap. So how tough is that going to be? Is the team going to have $22 million in revenue that they are able to do? Then how much are they putting into that collective with the emotion that comes with participating in college football?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fair question, because, like, how much are you putting back into the program? Like, if you own a business, right? And we have this conversation all the time in the business world. Like, okay, you're making this much. How much are you putting back in? How much are you putting back into the business? Are you going to line your pockets, or are you going to put it back into the business? Like, that's going to be something they have to figure out. Are you putting it back into the collective? Are you going to use all of that? Like some of these bigger programs, LSU, Ohio State, the ones that you and I talk about the most often, like are you going to use that down to the last cent every single time that you have payouts? Is there going to be anything left? What do you put back into the collective for a high school recruiting class? Like there's going to be like new positions in athletic departments and really football departments that are going to be crucial to figure out like what the best way to maximize the most that you possibly can with the things that you're now allowed to do.
Right. And I think it's going to be a balancing act. And again, I was talking to Trey Wallace of Outkick yesterday about this, a good friend of mine, and he said the coaches probably prefer the old way. You know, they have bagmen for this and the boosters and people that they didn't have. Now they are in it because they have the kid in the office coming in and saying, hey, I want $100,000 more dollars. I saw that story from Mike Loxley. I believe that was with you guys.
It was, it was us, and we were in Vegas when Coach Loxley threw that out there, Yeah,
so they don't want to do that. These guys, I've talked to several coaches, and their big thing is, I want to coach football. I want to do that part. I'm not getting to do that part nearly as much as I would like to. I've heard that quote a couple of times.
And the head coaches across the country, for the most part, now not everybody's always been a play caller on offense or defense, right? I mean, you know, there's been some head coaches that have just been head coaches, but like they've already had to give that away. Like you can't be a head coach and call plays anymore, in my opinion, and do that for a long period of time and be successful. Like Lincoln Riley's still doing it, and great, he's won games, and won championships. Ryan Day tried to do it, and then he tried to bring in Hartline, and he's like, I want to do it, and he's like, well, I can't do it. I got to bring in Chip Kelly. Like you can't really do that anymore. So that's already been taken away from them, and the more and more you add to their plate, like, are they going to get to a point where they don't even get to be in the meeting rooms? Like I think that's the worry. When I talk to head coaches as well, Bill, like that's the worry for them is am I going to be able to be a part of this at all? I already can't game plan like I want to. Right. Am I going to be able to do anything to help this football team, or am I basically like a true CEO and I'm handling everything else?
And that's why, you know, guys like Nick Saban can't not be involved in the game plan. You know, Jim Harbaugh can't. I don't think he could function if he wasn't part of the game plan. You know, and I think that's something to keep in mind. Ryan Day is a great example of someone, you know, it took a lot for him to give up play calling, but Chip Kelly's a pretty good play caller. So, you know, and you're going to see that across the board where the things that you hear, I know the trend now is to jump on Brian Kelly when he says something about NIL, but you got to think, these guys have been very successful coaches for a long time. Brian Kelly being in that 60s age range. Yeah, they're going to speak up when something changes that takes away from their ability to actually coach football. And I think that's half of his soundbite. So there's nothing wrong with what BK's been saying.
No, and honestly, privately, publicly, like he's had those conversations the entire time. It's funny how people just kind of hear one thing and they kind of run with it there. I shouldn't be surprised. It happens all the time. Catching up with Bill Bender, by the way, of the Sporting News here on OTB. Bill, will you see the athletic departments that have the deepest pockets, like not only have like, hey, NIL collective teams, but like just, I mentioned it earlier, like just new roles. Like the analyst was the thing that became in vogue for all the teams that had the deep pockets, and they had 35 analysts, and we always make fun of Billy Napier's blue polo picture where he had 97,000 blue polos because their staff was so, they have a coordinator of game-changing moments, I think, at Florida, although they haven't had too many of those recently. Like, are we going to see LSU, Ohio State, all these major big-time programs, Texas, like just have more positions to help these head coaches out? Like, do you think that's something that's going to happen, like, and probably here in the near future?
Yes. And so I'm working on, I'll probably talk to you again about this afternoon when some of the more research is done, but I'm working on a Super League model of here's who should actually be in it. And to me, it's a combination of a couple things. It's revenue. It's do you winning percentage, NFL draft picks. And I threw in, because we just talked about it, APR. Do you actually graduate your players? And, combine all of those things. things. And when you spit that formula out, as I like to do, and most of the big boys are up top, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Michigan. That's not going to surprise anybody in the top 10. It's where I think it gets interesting is, what about Wake Forest and NC State and Pitt? And, if we're actually doing this Super League model, as with any basketball team or football team, who's getting cut? That's what I'm paying attention to and trying to get an idea of who can actually live in that space with all that money, with all that support. I mean, you and I could probably name the 15 that can right off the bat.
Yeah.
Once you get to 30, it gets weird.
Yeah, it does. And like when you had, started that conversation, I had initial thoughts of Northwestern and Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech and schools that now Georgia Tech may be unfair to be put on this list because they have national championships not that long ago, and they've been highly competitive at times in the last 15 years. But like the schools that always felt like we add something to this conference, what we do academically, if academics continue to go farther away from college athletics, Bill, I don't know that those schools will have a place.
Right, and I think that's the thing. I hope education's still part of the equation. But I know, and I'm not naive about it, that there's a lot of money to be made. And you know what? Some of them, Ohio State, I think I saw a story about them this week. Yeah, their cumulative team GPA is 3.2. That's probably more impressive than their 11-1 record to be able to do that in this environment.
Bill, not to brag, graduated with honors. I had a cord. I'm just saying, in case you were wondering. I know you were wondering. I know you were sitting there wondering. Graduated with honors.
Yeah, well, that's good. I don't know that I even did that, but when you're this is a separate discussion probably for another time. But when you're in the journalism school, the newspaper experience is just as important as the classes.
There you go. I did not go to the journalism school, so you're probably onto something there. And Bill, great graduate there of Ohio University, and I think LSU fans know more about Ohio University than any other SEC team, considering the boroughs and their history there, Bill.
Nothing wrong with that. Athens is a great town. If you ever go to Athens, Jacob, or if you've ever been, once you get there, I'm going to come down and meet you, and it'll be about what T-Bob's going to see at the Dead and Company concert tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I look forward to it. Bill, you're the man. We appreciate your time, as always. Thanks for joining us, and I'll actually probably catch up with you this afternoon.
Talk to you later. Thanks so much.
All right, Bill Bender of the Sporting News, at BillBender92 is that handle. Champ, inside the Bayou Ford chat, didn't Jim Harbaugh just win a natty calling plays, or did he quit calling plays? Going back to the conversation in the middle of our Bill Bender conversation, no, Sharon Moore actually called those plays, Champ. Now, Jim Harbaugh, he kind of had like a little Les Miles in him where he would be like, hey, I really like the tight end over the middle here, like the national championship where they hit the tight end right there in a bang 8 situation. Like, he was a suggester. He didn't necessarily call the plays there, but he did have some input, but wasn't game planning. That was Sharon Moore, who is now the head coach for Michigan. And maybe Sharon Moore is actually trying to call plays. We'll see how that works out for them. All right, we have Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, joining us in about 10 minutes from now. We've got Jay Johnson, 9 a.m., not p.m., joining us here on the show today. And also, we just added Ross Jackson to talk New Orleans Saints and them paying the bill that is due to continue to move forward with the renovations for the Superdome. We told you about that story. Smoothie King Center as well is on halt until they figure that out. So we'll have that, and also hit, obviously, on some of these minicamp notes for the New Orleans Saints. And we'll do it all when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to K2ZBlinds.com. K2ZBlinds.com. That is the website for K2Z window coverings. That is blinds, shutters, shades, drapes, and more. And the thing that we can tell you that we know is going to happen, without a doubt, when K2Z comes to your home, is they are going to learn your space and know your space, and it's probably going to happen like in 5 minutes. The first time Brandon Barton and the team came over, they kind of take a look at your space, like, okay, hey, if we put a motorized screen out here, it's going to help, obviously, like your covered outdoor kitchen area, but also it's going to really help the entire living room front portion of your home. It's going to cool it down. It's going to shade it. And we've been blown away with the results that we've had. And also, like, they came in they did a Roman shade for us in the kitchen, and I was like, I don't really know what color. Like Brandon pulls out this thing, and he's just like, no, here it is right here. Like this pamphlet, and he knew exactly the color we needed. They're going to know your space as well. K2zblinds.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any
Tannegrove, join us for the Friday edition of Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road. Jimmy has the day off, but we will have former LSU coach Paul Maneri along with Bruce Marshall and Troy Macker. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Friday from Rufino's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, what the hell? T-Bob's not here. Taylor's not here. Hunt's not here. Jimmy's not here. Is anybody working at Guarantee today besides us here in the foxhole grinding away?
No, just us. We're the only foxhole.
What in the
only foxhole guys here?
Is it a savvy vet move to take today off knowing you're getting Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off? It is, but it's also not very gritty.
Right. It's not gritty, and it's not very team mindset of you.
I expect that from T-Bob.
Yep.
Now, he's gritty, but he's not a foxhole guy.
Right.
Hunt has negative grit.
0.
And then, like Jimmy, though, Jimmy's got some grit.
Jimmy does.
But he's also He's been in this game a while. He is a degenerate. We love him for being a degenerate.
Yes,
I don't know, man.
I love Jimmy.
Oh yeah,
so much.
Yeah, the Yacht Father. If you want to have a good time, go out with the Yacht Father.
Seriously.
Is Moscona here? Like, is he actually doing his show?
I think he is here.
Okay.
Yeah.
My gosh. So Musso's doing Hunt show.
Yeah.
Hanny's going Han Solo.
Yes.
We're kind of solo here. All right. We missing anybody? That's it, right?
No, I don't know.
Hunt, let me know, you coward, why you're not doing your show today. Is it because the Braves own the Cubs? Is that why?
That's why.
Yeah, I'd be sad too, little sad boy. I hope LSU softball's not sad.
Heck no, they're not.
Later tonight.
No. I don't think they will be.
Alondra going to be working late tonight.
I'm going to have a late one tonight. And last night was late too.
And that game started at 4:30.
Allegedly. It didn't start till 5:10.
You're
yeah,
right.
It didn't start till 5:10, but like at least we weren't Mississippi State and Vanderbilt though, because they had to go after us.
Oh, that I tried. I told y'all when I
Yeah.
came in, I tried to stay up for that. No shot.
Yeah, I think I watched like the first 3
Yeah,
innings.
I think I might have gotten that far.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No,
I actually fell asleep to it.
Well, I mean, it was not an exciting game like LSU South Carolina either. First pitch 9 p.m. tonight for LSU
First pitch,
softball
9 p.m.
on the West Coast.
Yep, they're at Stanford. Going to be facing number 8 Stanford at 9 p.m. tonight. Stanford's a pretty good team. They're 46-14 overall.
Yeah, they got one of the best pitchers in the country.
Yeah, I was
too.
about to say it was like Stanford and Tennessee both have like the top 2, I think. But they beat Cal State Fullerton in the regional. They hosted the regional too. So they beat Cal State Fullerton once, lost to them once, and then they beat Mississippi State and St. Mary's during the regional. We just came off 2 wins of Southern Illinois and Jackson State. We beat them too in our regional.
Yeah, Stanford and LSU both. Obviously, the strengths of their team are going to be in the circle.
Yeah.
So the good thing about it being a first pitch at 9, that actually is at 9 p.m., you might not be there long. Like, the first 1 to 3 might win this game. Like, it has that kind of feel.
Yeah.
If you remember last year, Stanford, they scared Oklahoma. They didn't beat them. Oklahoma's won 3 straight national championships, looking for a 4th. But they made them have sweaty palms. I mean, it's a good Stanford team. Now, again, they are light on hitting. Now, but I did talk some softball yesterday on off campus, and one of the things that is going in LSU's favor is Stanford does like to throw rise balls, and LSU has a lot of left-handed slappers. And so you'd rather rise balls than someone who's throwing it down. That might be an advantage for LSU. Maybe it's not. Again, he's one of the best pitchers in the country, and we'll see if LSU is able to get that done, because you wanted LSU to be able to host that super regional. They were 1 spot away.
So
they have, they're number 4 in the RPI, but they get the 9th overall seed. They were close, but Stanford took care of what they had to in their regional, just like every team basically did. You only had 2 that weren't seeds that got to super regionals. But for LSU softball, timely hitting is going to be key. You're not going to have many opportunities, and you have to take advantage of them. And LSU, this team, in like some of their bigger games of the year, like it's been 3-1 or 3-2 or 2-1. Like, this isn't a team that's going to explode for 11 runs in this game tonight. But you have to take advantage of your opportunities. You have a lineup that is going to give them trouble, as much as trouble can be had by the Stanford staff. And so you have to take advantage of your opportunities, because there ain't going to be many. Just like there's not going to be many for Stanford either.
Right. There's not going to be many. Their ace has a .52 ERA.
Which
is absolutely insane.
She's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, she almost shut down Oklahoma last year. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, she gave them the opportunity. They just could not get a hit.
Right. So they do, like you said, need to take advantage of the opportunities, like the few opportunities that they're going to be given. I'm assuming we're going to roll out Sydney Burzon.
Yeah.
Our ace, 1.62 ERA. So it's going to be a really good series. And I'm just hoping, and I think we can get it done. And maybe both LSU baseball and LSU softball are going to be in Stillwater come next week.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. So some of the matchups in softball are intriguing, to say the least. And we'll continue on with LSU, but real quick, you've got Texas and Texas A&M facing off against each other in Austin. You've got Tennessee and Alabama in Knoxville. Those teams, no, they don't really like each other at all. You've got UCLA and Georgia. UCLA blanks Georgia. The game one of that was last night. You've got Oklahoma State and Arizona. You've got Missouri and Duke. You've got Oklahoma and Florida State. Oklahoma wins game one last night. And Oklahoma, and by the way, you got Florida Gators, whatever, against Baylor. But Oklahoma going for their 4th straight national championship.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I don't know if they're going to, I don't see. They were still the number 2 overall seed.
Yeah.
When you look at Vegas, DraftKings, they're minus 150 to win a 4th straight national championship. The next best odds are Texas at plus 500.
Yeah. What's crazy is that this is considered like a bad year for them.
Well, in 3 years combined, they lost 8 games. And this year they've lost 6.
Yeah.
So that's where that narrative came from. But
that's
let's not act like they
insane.
can't go win another national championship.
The dynasty that's Oklahoma softball
It's
is
crazy.
insane. Like, it is so crazy. But yeah, Texas is what'd you say, plus 500?
Texas has the second best odds at plus 500 to win a national championship. Hey,
Who's third?
third was Tennessee at plus 1,000, I believe, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
LSU was like 6th best
I was
odds
gonna
at
say
plus
fifth,
3,000. So
I might
plus 500 though
I might, yeah.
for the number 1 overall seed that played in the same conference as Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Not the worst bet.
Not the
I
worst.
made some bad ones. That was not the worst.
No.
So LSU's trying to see if they
LSU
can
beat
get
them.
that done out west. Stanford, first pitch, 9 p.m. God bless you, Alondra. All right.
I gotta take a
We are
nap.
going to step away, and when we come back, we'll probably dive more into the actual on-the-field conversation. We had Bill Bender to talk about what's going on in the courtrooms and pay-for-play. When Connor O'Gara joins us next from Saturday Down South, maybe one question there, but we will get into the nitty-gritty of this LSU football team and kind of his post-spring thoughts on what the Tigers have moving forward. And we'll do that when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, just like we told you in hour number 1 of the show, it is not too late to go check out those rentals over at All-Star Toyota. Now, we always encourage you go check out what they have as far as new vehicles. If you're looking to lease as well, that's something that me and T-Bob both have taken full advantage of. Like, I'm currently in a lease from All-Star. Been incredibly happy with it. Highlander, that midsize SUV, something that didn't really know that if it would fit my crew, but it does. Like, and it's more than enough room. Like, those midsize SUVs are bigger than you think. They have the 4Runner as well. But if you want the Sequoia, Sienna, they've got that option. If you're looking for a truck, Tacoma Tundra, again, multiple options. You're seeing a trend here. That's buying new, that's leasing, it's also renting. Like, everything is available and everything they do over at All-Star. That's kind of what sets them apart. Like, you're not going to find that in the leasing and rental departments anywhere else. Again, full fleet available. Reserve your rental today. Check out the new vehicles online. All that can be found at allstartoyota of BatonRouge.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 9.
I'm out on Friday, but Musso is in. Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Musso talking some LSU football and catching you up on everything in the college baseball postseason. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Oh, man, pulling some memory strings here this morning, Alondra. Let's welcome on to the show, Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. He's probably a little upset that his Cubbies can't figure out the Atlanta Braves either, but he joins us now. Connor, what's going on, brother?
Wow, that was just so unnecessary. My goodness,
Dude,
man.
I work with a lot of Cub fans, okay? I got to get these shots off when I can.
Look, I understand that the Braves are here to stay, and they're not just going to flirt with being a really good franchise and only actually win one title during this decade in which, everybody just bows down to them in the NL East. I get it. Braves fans are all over my timeline. It's nauseating. Quite frankly, I think the only thing I have muted on Twitter is Braves. Like, I in all honesty, I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, you follow people in the Southeastern Conference, everybody's a Braves fan. I'm like, I have no hatred for the Braves, besides the fact that they got Greg Maddux and just, Cubs didn't want to re-sign him. No hatred whatsoever, but yeah, it's a rough life these days.
Okay, I mean, it's 3-0 yesterday, but who's keeping score? Connor, earlier we were talking about, obviously, the forever changing landscape of college athletics. By the way, T-Bob, I told you last night, he is not here because he just continues to live his best life, and he continues to have more vacation days than anybody I've ever met, and he is in Las Vegas watching Dead and Company, so he doesn't have the ability to wear his Cubs jersey here.
Yeah, that's tragic to me. I just hope that T-Bob is watching, Dead and Company while wearing the Cubs jersey with his new haircut, living his best life with unlimited vacation days.
Fair enough. We were talking with our guy Bill Bender earlier about all the things going on right now in college athletics, and now pay for play is here. So one question, because I do want to get to some actual on the field stuff. Any surprise from you? I mean, we've known this was going to happen, maybe faster than we thought, but any surprise now what happened yesterday? Pay for play is now here.
Yeah, I think you hit on it right there, just how fast this all happened. I felt like we were talking about, oh, yeah, this will be the plan, a few years from now, and I think we were kind of looking at it latter half of the decade, and for this to really get rolling that quickly, where now, the door is open for this to actually happen in a new era of college athletics is here. I mean, it is a landmark occasion to have revenue sharing. It feels obvious. It's just, what is it all going to look like? Does this actually benefit the group of five in any way, or are they going to be at more of a disadvantage? I think that's kind of the questions we have moving forward. But revenue sharing always made the most sense to me because, like, the reason why people like myself have done a 180 on pairs being played is because of these TV contracts. And if you have these TV contracts that are now so insane compared to what they were a decade ago, yeah, it makes sense that a cut for players would come from that. So, yeah, I think it's just a very new world of college sports that we're living in.
It is, and we hadn't even really gotten into what this could do for the group of five. And obviously, like here in the state of Louisiana, and we're going to talk LSU, and we're in Baton Rouge, but, you know, with Tulane and Louisiana Lafayette and Louisiana Tech, certainly something that is going to affect some of our listeners because I can't imagine the G5 now is going to be able to keep any of their players when they can't offer the millions of dollars that the Power Four is going to be able to offer.
Yeah, I mean, look at somebody like Chris Brazzell II going from Tulane to over to Tennessee. And I understand, you know, you have a coaching change. That types of things like that happen in this day and age of the portal. But, yeah, that climb is going to be even more difficult to be able to keep some of these guys on board. And it's difficult. You know, I know college basketball has dealt with this in a more extreme way than college football. And it just, if you're one of those programs at this stage of the game, you just appreciate any sort of time you have with those guys. Maybe you're in a situation where, you know, like your guy goes straight from that group of five program to the NFL, and you just enjoy that for what it is. But yeah, it's brutal. I mean, it's a widening gap, and I think you see the playoff number two where those schools are getting $1.5 million per school, and now it's going to be up to a whopping $1.8 million per school with this new playoff contract, which, like, I don't even think that covers the price of inflation. I mean, goodness gracious. So it's a tough time right now to be in the group of five.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I'm just thinking of players. I mean, first one, like Tajay Spears was the first guy that popped into my mind. I mean, you and I have talked about him. You know how much I appreciate his game. And I have a Tulane helmet right in front of me right now here on set. And like Tajay Spears doesn't play or finish his career at Tulane anymore. And I don't like that. I don't like the fact that they don't have that option basically because, you know, the things that you're going to have available to you now in the Power Four compared to the group of five, it's just going to be almost impossible to say no to that. So I do want to get into some on-the-field discussion with you, Connor. You and I were catching up yesterday on Off Campus. I know you're a big fan of what Tennessee is potentially going to do this year on offense. Like, before we get to maybe the Tennessee conversation, like, where would you put them in like a group of teams? Like, would you put them in the top 4, top 5, top 6 of the SEC?
They're one of 8 SEC teams that has 12-team playoff upside.
Yeah,
that's I think the way that you should approach this if you're a Tennessee fan is, look, going 9-3, going 10-2. That's on the table for this team, and I got questions on what it's going to look like on the back end. That secondary that lost a lot of pieces in the portal. There are some questions as to what that's going to look like, but you return maybe the best defensive player in the conference, one of the best in all of college football, and James Pierce Jr., who just exploded last year as an edge rusher, getting more snaps. And, you know, offensively, I just love so many of the pieces that they have coming back in the pass catching room. I think the running back, Dylan Sampson, is going to be an absolute stud replacing Jalen Wright. And I look forward to seeing what Nico Iamaleava is going to be able to do for a Tennessee offense that, look, Josh Heupel had nothing but top 8 offenses up until last year, 5 consecutive top 8 offenses. I think they can get back to that. So, yeah, the schedule is difficult, but 10-3 does Tennessee have the ability to go like 9-3, 10-2? Yes, absolutely. It's just a matter of whether or not they can win one of those games that maybe they're not supposed to. Obviously, it's difficult when you still have Georgia and Alabama, but, man, I love what Tennessee has going in its favor this year.
So, Connor, if you were kind of grouping these teams together, would it be Georgia, Texas maybe in their own group, and then would you have like a second tier before you got to Tennessee? Would Tennessee be in there? Because, like, here on this show, we've kind of had the conversation. It feels like Missouri, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Bama, LSU, like those 5 teams feel like they're in this group that I can't really put a pecking order on it just yet, but they feel like, kind of like you said, they've got 9-3, 10-2 kind of written all over them, and we'll just have to see how they react to, you know, the early portion of their schedule. Or would you put Tennessee maybe in a group ahead of some of those teams?
I'd probably have Tennessee in that like tier 3 because tier 1 is Georgia and Texas.
Yeah.
And then I think tier 2 is that Alabama, Ole Miss, Mizzou. And then I would say even just after that, that's like the LSU, Tennessee, Oklahoma. That's kind of the way that I see this all, breaking down. And, it's not to say that it'll stay like that, but, we'll get a good indicator when Tennessee travels to Oklahoma for the Josh Heupel reunion in September. That's Oklahoma's SEC debut, a game that I'm really looking forward to. I would expect College Game Day to be there as well. But we'll get some sort of separation. It's difficult, though, because if you look at Oklahoma's regular season over-under, 7.5 wins, you would say they don't belong in that tier, in that conversation. I think that's more because the schedule is the second most difficult in the conference outside of Florida's. But their roster is not a 7-8 win roster. It's like a 10-win roster, but it's just so difficult when you have, I think they have like 6 games against teams that won at least 9 games last year. I mean, that is absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
So, it's difficult to kind of look at it preseason, but there's a lot going in the SEC's favor. Could have a whole bunch of teams in that top 10, top 15 range.
All right, Connor, let's talk about the LSU Tigers. Let's talk about Garrett Nussmeier. I know you and I have talked about Nuss for a very, very long time. He is a quarterback that it is unique in the fact that everybody knows who he is, but he has one start. And when he's been out there, he's actually played really well. He comes in for Max Johnson against Arkansas, wins that game, SEC championship game, second half, does really well against an historic Georgia defense, bowl game last year. What are you expecting from Garrett Nussmeier? And, is there enough weapons around him maybe to be able to, feel his full potential?
I like the weapons. I like Kyron Lacey. I like C.J. Daniels coming over from Liberty. You have a situation on the offensive line that's as good as you can ask for. I mean, to have Will Campbell on one side, Emory Jones on the other. I mean, you just don't get that type of protection. And for a guy that isn't going to move the way that Jaden Daniels did, obviously, that's such a huge plus working in his favor. I think it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like in this shift of play calling. And, I think there's always optimism when a team keeps it internal with the play calling. I mean, that was the conversation last year with Georgia. That's kind of the conversation this year with Oklahoma. Like, when you kind of make that transition, it's not as daunting of like an outsider coming in and, they're going to overhaul the system, a la Dan Enos at Arkansas last year, which was just a total failure. So I think that Garrett Nussmeier has the ability to be one of the best quarterbacks in this conference and has all SEC-type upside. It's can he cut down on those mistakes? Because he has played so fearless throughout the majority of his career. I actually thought the first half of that bowl game was a great indicator that, maybe he actually is figuring out some of these skills to be able to manage a game and cut down on some of those turnovers. You still need those gunslinger tendencies in him, especially if the defense is not going to be some top 20 unit. But I'm optimistic that Garrett Nussmeier can be everything that LSU fans hope he can be. It's just going to be whether or not he can cut down on those mistakes, and if that play calling, if he's on the same page throughout this entire season, or if there's more of a learning curve to start off in September.
LSU make a 12-team playoff as we sit here at the end of May. I mean, we're not that far away from the college football season, less than 100 days, Connor. So, I mean, we might as well put predictions out there, right?
I know. I think so. And I don't want to be too locked into that. I'm sure we'll talk about it, and maybe I'll go probably back and forth 50 different times on off campus. But, I find myself buying into this version of LSU, even though we have so many questions about the defense and what it's going to look like with Blake Baker. But I do find myself defaulting to Brian Kelly having the longest active streak of 10-win seasons in this sport.
Yeah.
And that's something that I look at and I say, all right, man, his floor is so unbelievably high. It's higher than people realize. And then I close my eyes and picture if I take that opinion into that Sunday night game against USC, because I can envision this world in which a Lincoln Riley offense with Miller Moss at quarterback is just dicing up this LSU defense. And I'm like, why did I predict LSU to go into the 12-team playoff? I knew they hadn't won a season opening game in the 2020s. Right. I'm an idiot. So I'm very much on the fence. I would probably say I'm like 60% yes, 40% no. But I don't know. Ask me in a week and it'll change.
That is completely fair. Completely fair with the way LSU has not shown up in openers in the last 4 years for you to maybe have those feelings because, well, it's not too far off how T-Bob and I feel as well. Connor, you're the man. I appreciate you joining me back-to-back days, and I always look forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, man.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday down south, good enough to join us here on OTB. All right, remember, we do have Jay Johnson joining us in 10 minutes from now. We've got Ross Jackson joining us at 9:30 a.m. to talk about the New Orleans Saints as well. Stay locked in here to OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to centralplumbing.org. Centralplumbing.org is the website. Now, Central, right? And you're thinking Central Louisiana. Yeah, they can service Central Louisiana, obviously, but not just Central. We're talking to you, Baton Rouge. Like, we're talking to the entire area of Baton Rouge, right? Surrounding areas, Zachary, like everybody. We're talking to you. Don't let the name fool you. Like, they can service any part of the Baton Rouge area. Prairieville, like, literally does not matter. So, yes, it is Central Plumbing, but that is not the only place that they service. And so, home or business, emergency service 24/7 also means 365. 225-925-8552 is that number. Like, holiday coming up, like if Monday you have something, they're going to be there. Big game coming up, LSU baseball. They want to watch the game, but they're still going to be there for your emergency. So go find that number on their website. Find out what they can do for you in the upgrade game as well. centralplumbing.org.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Riot Radio Hours return. We're recapping LSU South Carolina, getting you ready for a weekend in Hoover. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Do you have the time
to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Look, I mean, we got like a minute here. My bad. Hand up. Clock management. I was molded by Les Miles. Can't blame me. Blame Les. Real quick, since this is going to be a minute long, Alondra, Cassie, do y'all were y'all the age where like a song like that reminds me of like burning a CD?
Yeah.
Did y'all burn CDs?
Oh.
And y'all
was
remember
like,
that?
Yeah, I was like a
Okay.
professional CD burner.
Yeah, you got a little old school nature too,
Yeah.
so that doesn't surprise me. Cassie, did you ever burn a CD?
I think I might be too young for that. I never burned CDs. I remember my mom burning CDs.
Chill out.
But
Okay, we don't need that. Don't need any mom talk here. Okay, so never. Okay, you never went to LimeWire, downloaded the song, Napster, got it on your computer, got a virus on your parents' computer, and then burned it onto a CD?
No.
You never had that thrill, huh?
No.
I used to love maybe that's what got me into radios, burning CDs.
Probably was.
I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I used to sit there and I
Okay,
had hella.
well,
And like I had the case too.
Oh yeah, you
like
had
a
to flip.
CD yeah.
Yeah, you had to flip. Yeah, Cassie probably just had the iPod. Yeah, that had all the
Does
music
she even
already
have
on
the
it.
shuffle, the little
Yeah,
tiny
do you
one?
know what
I did.
Okay,
I did.
okay. All right. We saved ourselves. All right, Jay Johnson, LSU head baseball coach, joining us when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to RejuveMeMedical.com, RejuveMeMedical.com, your age-defining clinic, right? You want to defy that aging process? Well, you go see them over at Rejuve Me. You can get a consultation set up on the website, top right corner of the site. Click on Request a Consultation, and it's going to really get you set up. Because once you get that consultation set up, because maybe you don't know what you're dealing with. You know something's off, but you don't know what it is. They're going to get to the bottom of it over at Rejuve Me. It can be fatigue and insomnia, mood and memory problems, thyroid deficiency, weight gain, strength and performance deficiency, like so many different things that it can be. And if you want to get to the bottom of it again, and then also like find out what it is, right? Now you got a plan and an idea of what it is, and then they help you get to feeling like your youthful self over at Rejuve Me. And that's what they're all about throughout the state of Louisiana, now in Mississippi as well. Go to the website today to get it scheduled at RejuveMeMedical.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, welcome back in. Hour number 3 of OTB here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. And we have talked a lot of LSU baseball on today's show. And we're going to continue that conversation now with the man himself. Jay Johnson, LSU head baseball coach, joins us here on OTB. Coach, we appreciate your time as always, truly during the schedule now in Hoover, even more so today on your off day. Thanks for joining us.
You got it. Happy to be joining you on a day we don't have a game right now.
Don't have a game, and certainly no 9:30 a.m. games. And gosh, it has been such a fun ride to watch this baseball team in Hoover. My dad, we used to have a saying, "Too gritty to be pretty." Like that was what he always said to me, like growing up, and like, hey, we're just going to find a way. We don't care what it looks like. We don't care how it happens. We're just going to find a way. And Coach, your baseball team is too gritty to be pretty. Like it doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter recently, like what has been, before them, what has happened in an inning before them. If a team scores 4 runs, 5 runs, like they've answered recently. I know you have to be incredibly proud of the fight your team has shown there in Hoover, certainly last night with the game being close.
Yeah, for sure. I think the first 2 games were the brand of baseball we want to play, dominant pitching, 0 in the air column, great offense, especially with runners on base, and about as dominating as you can be against 2 of the better teams in the country. And then last night, different story. We got down 5-1, we got down 10-7, and immediately responded both times. And that's very impressive by our players. I'm proud of them for that. And you need both models to have success in the postseason, but especially the ability to come from behind. Because what happens often is, when games are of this magnitude, you get behind. Sometimes players will press, panic, and then the game and the season ultimately gets away from you. And we've made a point to make sure that we don't do that. And they certainly did that last night, which was awesome.
It was. And you're right. Like every time that South Carolina tried to throw a haymaker, your baseball team countered. And they never quit. And they just kept answering the call time and time again. And, Coach, not only in the 9th inning, I want to get there, but early in the game, the freshmen on your baseball team and Milam and Brown and what a night Brown had, being thrown into the lineup and handling that situation. The freshmen on this team, and you and I both know, like we played this, sport, college athletics. We both, played at a high level. And when you're a freshman, sometimes you hit that wall or something happens and maybe you're not ready for that moment, but your freshmen were ready to go.
Yeah, big time. I mean, with Stephen Milam, Ashton Larson, Jake Brown, those are kind of what I call like wheelhouse players for me. They're left-handed, they're good athletes, they have good baseball aptitude, and are going to have great careers here. I think what's awesome is there's not too many guys in their freshman year running around the SEC having success, and so to have 3 of them in that game last night playing that well is a great sign for now and things to come. And I think you're going to see a lot of things of those 3 that remind you of some really good players that have been here in the past, and just in the recent past. There's a lot of Trey Morgan in those guys. There's a lot of Kade Poso in those guys, and really, really excited to have them and really proud of how they performed last night.
Yeah, and it wasn't really, only last night. For Stephen Milam, kind of the thing that we've been talking about, Coach, was you tell the stories of the fall. He had some struggles. You give him some homework. He goes back home. He comes back, and he's worked on those things, a different player. But then he came out of the gates very successful. And he never fell off a cliff or anything, but he did have some struggles in the middle portion. Not typical for a freshman to start hot, get cold, and then get hot again. Like typically, like once a freshman kind of goes away, it doesn't matter the sport, like that's a freshman wall that we all hit. It happens to everybody. For him to now thrive after having some of those struggles, like that is not a freshman mentality at all.
Not at all. And I'm really proud of him. And that's a good find by you because he did start off good, but the improvement from the beginning of SEC play or even the middle of SEC play to where he's at right now, like I like seeing him come up to the plate as much as anybody on our team.
Yeah.
And think about what I just said.
Yeah.
And I really, really admire the toughness. I mean, he's been a little bit beat up. He got hit on the foot with a pitch that was 95 miles an hour the day before, and gritted through 4 hits last night. And he's a good one. He's a winner, and the improvement from even midway through league to now is really awesome.
And Coach, we've talked about, some different lineup changes with you a couple of weeks ago, and one of the big ones was moving Michael Braswell to the leadoff spot. What a moment, what a night. It was for him last night because it was against his former team, but, I mean, really this entire tournament, like moving him to that position, what he's done the last couple of games out of that leadoff position, being that table setter, like what has he meant for y'all as a baseball team, being able to do what he's done the last couple of games?
Yeah, he's playing the best baseball of his career right now. And just the energy that he plays with. And frankly, he's just getting on base a lot. And when you're getting on base in front of, in my opinion, one of the best hitters in college baseball history, they have to make some decisions with what they're going to do with the rest of our lineup. And I would extend that to the bottom of the order, too. We moved Ashton down to the 8-hole. Alex Milazzo has been phenomenal in the 9-hole. And so now, teams are having to pitch to Tommy and Jared with guys on base. And they might wiggle through that once, maybe twice. It's almost impossible to do 3 times. And then you match that with how we pitched in the first 2 games. It makes us really difficult to beat.
And Coach, last night, I mean, you're going against Chris Veach, who's got one of the best changeups in the conference. And also, like going back last year had some success against LSU. Like, so to come back against a guy like that makes it even more impressive in my book.
He carved us last year. Like,
Coach, I was trying to say it like the nicest possible
Yeah, no,
way.
he diced us. That was, somehow Gavin Dugas thankfully hit a grand slam. Somehow we came back and won that game. But I love hitting an offense, as you guys know. That was about as miserable of 3 innings last year against him as possible. And really proud of the at-bats. I mean, Josh Pearson smoked that ball.
He did.
That got us 2 runs where it went through the first baseman's legs. And that kind of set the tone. And we were fortunate. They used him pretty heavily on Tuesday, so I don't know if he wasn't quite the same. But, man, our at-bats against him, the back half of the order was phenomenal. And we deserved to win that game last night, and it's great to do it, as you said, against a really good reliever.
Catching up with LSU head baseball coach Jay Johnson here on OTB. Coach, I love the mentality you had heading into this tournament because I agree with you, after the Ole Miss sweep, and you're like, hey, we're one of the 10, 15 best teams in the country. Y'all were playing that way, and it's only continued in Hoover. But I love the aggression that you have with Gage Jump, with Luke Holman on the bump. Every team's going to take this tournament a little bit differently, and I've always loved your mentality in midweek games as well. Maybe that's the meathead fullback in me, but I've always appreciated that. Like, what was, the thought process for you, though? Gage Jump, Luke Holman, your top guys going in Hoover, when maybe some other teams won't do that.
Yeah, I think we set the table on it like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I used it, honestly, to keep hope in front of the team when things weren't looking great. I was like, hey, listen, like, we're gonna play well these last few weeks. Then we're going into Hoover, and we got 2 of the best pitchers in the league, in my opinion. And it was like, hey, fellas, right now, get ready to go on 4 days rest because you're pitching on Tuesday and you're pitching on Wednesday. And I just looked at the team and goes, okay, there's 2 wins right there.
Yeah.
So then what do we need to do to get to that point where those wins really, really matter? And it was literally just stay with it. We have good players. We have really good coaches. And sometimes when things go bad, if you just make a decision to stay with it, good things can happen. And I'm really proud of the players for that.
And, Coach, you joined us, I think it was probably 3 weeks ago, and you said, hey, we've got a plan. We have a roadmap to what we want to do. I mean, you go back 3 weeks with this decision?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I brought Gage in. It's like, okay, hey, you're going to throw Friday, I think it was at Alabama. You're going to go Thursday against Ole Miss, and then you're going to go Tuesday in the game 1 of the SEC tournament. So let's start preparing for that now. And then, both with him and Luke, I believe both those guys are major league pitchers.
Yeah.
So their life is going to be pitching on, and they're starters too.
Yeah.
They're legitimate starters. So I think they looked at this one opportunity as, hey, this is something that I can use and have in my back pocket from when I move on beyond LSU. And they're competing, and the reason the season flipped is because both those guys started throwing great on the same weekend, which allowed us to win 4 of those last 5 SEC series, and it should have been 5 of 5 because of the way both those guys pitched.
And Coach, probably huge for Gage Jump to be able to go out there and show everyone, hey, I know I only had 16 innings, coming into this year for LSU, but I can go on short rest, and I can go against one of the best offenses, if not the best, in the country that is deep and has one of the best players in the country, if not the best player in the country, and I can do what I did. Like, that was probably a huge moment for him just in his career, showing that he could go on short rest and the injuries are in his past.
Yeah, he's really good, and I've kind of been alluding to it since the fall to everybody. I'm probably one of the only people that knew how good he was because I had some history, previous to him going into college. But when we got him in the portal, it's like, hey, nobody's going to talk about this like we got when we got Paul Skeens or Tommy White. But I believed he could be that type of impact, and he certainly has. I mean, that's like 7 ace-type outings in a row out of Gage, and super proud of him for that.
All right, Coach, so you do get a rare off day here, considering the last 3 days, what your team has been through. Early starts, a long game last night, almost 4-hour baseball game. What does today look like for you and your staff and also your team?
Yeah, they are still sleeping right now, for sure. We're going to have breakfast at 10. Then we're going to go over to Hoover High and our strength coach, Jeremy McMillan. We're going to do like a recovery regeneration session with the entire team with stretching, mobility, that type of thing. We're not going to do any baseball stuff today because, as you said, it's a quick turnaround to a noon game tomorrow, even though we have the day off. We've gotten in a good flow and good routine in postseason baseball that I like, that dates back to the last couple of years, where we'll get into the cages and do some things really specific. We'll have our scouting meeting tonight, and yeah, they earned a steak dinner tonight, though. At 4 o'clock, we're going to roll over to Fleming's. We ate there on Sunday night when we arrived, and I told them, hey, if you get that off day on Friday, we'll come right back here. Yeah, just put some elite food in front of them, and I guess they'll go get 3 wins against 3 of the top teams in the country.
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, you put some good food in front of a college athlete, they're going to do everything they can to get another steak dinner. So I love that from you, and it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so what about, like, for you and the coaching staff? Like, look, we know you're not going to tell us who's starting tomorrow. You might not even know who's starting the game tomorrow, but, like, when do those conversations take place? Will they go all the way tomorrow morning? Will you wake up and maybe still have some decisions to be made?
No, we'll make a decision tonight for sure. Actually, in front of me, I have my notebook and, who we have available and how many pitches the guys that have thrown that might be able to come back tomorrow and on Sunday if we were able to win, and devise a plan. But we won't decide on that till we decide, or until we see who was playing. It's 2 really good offenses. Obviously, Kentucky, I mean, Luke was able to slow them down with his elite performance the other day, but then they turned around and beat Hagen Smith and put 9 runs on Arkansas yesterday. So, and in South Carolina, I mean, they took some real swings last night, and so it's probably going to depend on who we face, but we're in a really good spot. You're allowed to carry a couple extra pitchers during this SEC tournament, which is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
And so I like what we have available with, guys that could come back maybe that threw earlier in the week and guys that haven't pitched yet. And we got some guys that are hungry for the ball. And I always believe that, success is contagious sometimes. And we've pitched really well for about a month, and that's why we've won. And I'm excited to get some of these other guys out there.
Coach, last one before we let you go, and we always appreciate the time. I know you got to be where your feet are, and you can't look too far down the road. But now that your resume is your resume, will you worry at all about where you're playing after this tournament, or do you just find that out on Monday and then that work starts then?
Yeah, not at all. I mean, it's something I learned a long time ago that, isn't great for a guy that's a leader, but I try not to focus on things I can't control.
Yeah.
What we could control was our play and our resume. And, I think a lot of people laughed at me when I said we were one of the 10 to 15 best teams in the country a month ago.
Ain't laughing now.
Well, and it's just, when you've been through it and you know how some of those were really tough, close losses. You know, we think about the Florida, Vanderbilt, and we did some things well. We needed to get set up as far as the pitching and the pieces on offense. And some of those guys needed to get back up off the mat, from adversity. And even some of the returning players, it took them a little bit of a long time because we just didn't have a whole lot in last year's national championship season. So I'm proud of them for that and really excited for the game tomorrow.
LSU head baseball coach Jay Johnson, good enough to join us here on OTB, Coach. We can't thank you enough. We always appreciate the time, and enjoy the off day first, and then best of luck coming up tomorrow in the game. And I know you're gonna find out who you're playing, but best of luck regardless of who the opponent is. And looking forward to watching this Tiger baseball team a couple more times in Hoover, Alabama.
All right, sounds great. Thank you.
All right, Jay Johnson, man, one of the absolute best. Love every conversation I've had with him, and I've appreciated every conversation I've had with him going back to 2010 when he was an assistant at the University of San Diego. The process, the plan, he has got, and look, I understand, Nick Saban's not the most popular person in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, although, he did bring you a national championship, but, I played for Coach Saban, and Jay Johnson has that in him, and that's a good thing. It's a great thing, actually, and looks ahead, and nothing surprises him, and there's a process, and if you stay with the process, you're going to have good results and even great results on the other side. He told you 3 weeks ago he had a plan for their postseason battle, for what it was going to look like, what they had to do, and this man told Gage Jump 3 weeks ago that he was going to start the opening game of the SEC tournament. They weren't even at that point in the SEC tournament, and that's what makes him one of the best college baseball coaches in America. All right, we are going to step away. We also have Ross Jackson set to join us in about 15 minutes from now to talk some New Orleans Saints on the field, off the field, Superdome renovations, OTAs, all of that coming your way. Stay locked in here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, TrashRangersLLC.com is the website to go. We've been telling you over the last couple of weeks and months just what they can do for you. I mean, you're talking reliable weekly service. You're talking about no hidden fees, weekly text reminders, which, I mean, as we tell you all the time, cannot stress that enough because I forget all the time. And I wish I could have Trash Rangers. And if you're in Ascension, Livingston, surrounding parishes, you can. Now, here in Baton Rouge, you can have the roll-off dumpsters as well. That's something that no matter where you're at, they can help you out with that. But Trash Rangers also are recruiting, all right? Customer account representative, right? So if you want to make sure that you're part of the great Trash Rangers team, you can go to Indeed.com. They are accepting applications right there online. Again, Indeed.com, Trash Rangers, search it up. You'll find it there. Be a part of the winning team over at Trash Rangers. We promise you, you will be glad that you made that move and that job, and also your TrashRangersLLC.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit
Charles Hannigrove, join us for the Friday edition of Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road. Jimmy has the day off, but we will have former LSU coach Paul Maneri along with Bruce Marshall and Troy Macker. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Friday from Rufino's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Just caught up with LSU head baseball coach Jay Johnson. Off day for the Tigers. Said they're going to go work out over at Hoover High and then get a nice steak dinner at 4 p.m. Pretty early. Like the senior citizens crowd. If you're going to Piccadilly, you can't get there at 4. It's going to be packed. Well, early dinner.
You got to think it's a lot of them.
That's true.
So it's going to take a minute.
That's true.
By the time they're done, it's going to be like 6:30.
It's also true, but still, I guess he wants to get them, back
Digested.
in the hotel. Digested, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay. I was just wondering. I mean, 4 p.m. is pretty early start time for a steak dinner, but.
No, it is pretty early.
Look. Again, he has his process. He's got his plan, so I'm going to trust in Jay Johnson. He brought up Hoover, and then they're playing in the Hoover Met. I lost to Hoover inside of the Hoover Met in a football game in high school. 2003, so we're talking 21 years ago. We're on – okay. Still bitter about this. First – in goal from the 2-yard line.
Yeah, if you remember it 20 years later.
Okay. Well, Chad Jackson caught a touchdown that wasn't a touchdown, that they called a touchdown. Okay, first and goal, 2-yard line. We're down 4, I think. Okay, so we can't kick a field goal, but there's like 38, 39 seconds left. Plenty of time. Had timeouts. Not to brag, but I run for like 200 yards in that game. First and goal, 2-yard line. We throw the football.
What?
Yeah, we were Russell Wilson Seahawks in the Super Bowl before they were. Interception on first down in the end zone. Game over. Hoover wins. Evangel loses.
Boo. That's a terrible
I had gone for
ending to that
200
game.
in the game.
Yeah.
We had
For nothing.
timeouts. 21 years later.
You
I'm
had
still bitter.
timeouts?
We had 2.
Oh, God.
Not just 1. Plural.
That's
My God.
That's disappointing.
And it was inside that stadium. That's where Hoover played their big games. I don't know if they still do, but God.
Why were you all the way in Alabama?
So, Evangel back then, we were really good. We were winning state championships. We won a national championship in '99, and we had a difficult time finding teams in the state to play us out of district.
That makes sense.
My my senior year, I'm trying to think if I got this right. We played a team out of South Carolina. We played Hoover. We played a game in California. We went and we flew out to the Bay Area. We played De La Salle, the team that they made a movie about. They were like 155-0, and I think we lost 21-13 or 21-10 maybe.
That's not bad.
Something like that. It wasn't our best team.
Yeah.
Our quarterback, John David Booty, who would have been the quarterback for that team, actually graduated high school early and went to USC. And so we didn't have our quarterback who we built this schedule thinking we would have him, and he graduated early, so we didn't have John David. And so, I'm trying to think. I know we always played East Texas teams, but I know we played at South Carolina, a team out of Alabama, a team out of California. I feel like I'm missing, Florida. Our opening game was in Florida, in Tallahassee area.
That's actually crazy that like this high school team is traveling around the country like that.
Yeah, we had to. We couldn't find teams to play us.
Yeah.
Locally, not in the state of Louisiana. So we had our district games, obviously. So that was a fun ride, and 21 years later, I still remember because the bitterness is still there. So.
And the way to lose too.
Oh gosh, we played a team out of Missouri as well.
Yeah.
I mean, golly. Tony Temple was the running back. Rockhurst, Missouri. SEC fans. All this is coming back to me now. Actually, Missouri would have been in. They actually would have been in the Big 12 still. But Tony Temple was the running back. Rockhurst, Missouri. We were going carry for carry. Like he'd hit like a 40-yarder. I'd hit a 40-yarder. He'd hit a 50. I'd hit a 50. It was just back and. It was the hottest day I've ever been a part of inside of Independence Stadium in Shreveport, Louisiana. I can't even describe how miserable it was, but we won the game though. I did get in trouble that game because our offense coordinator's son was playing quarterback, and we're down 6, Alondra, and we're on like the 30-yard line with like 2 minutes left maybe.
Okay.
And
down 6, 30-yard line, 2 minutes.
Yeah, we got to go 70.
Okay.
And so I didn't like the play that was called. This is bad. Like, kids don't do this. If my kids did this, I would be mad at them. I didn't like the play that was called. It felt like the same situation. We're going to throw an interception like we did against Hoover.
Right.
So the center snaps the ball to the quarterback. I'm back there. We're in gun. I'm with the quarterback.
Yeah.
I step in front of the snap and grab it.
Stop.
And I went like 68 yards down to the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
Next play, we call it run, play, score. And I'm fired up. I'm like, we just probably won this game. We make the extra point. And I get back to the sideline. And as much as a Christian football coach can yell at you and get away with it,
right?
I got that tongue lashing from my coach for stepping in front of the snap.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it worked out, but it is,
It's definitely very, very Jacob Hester of you to do that, but I'm not mad at it because y'all scored.
Hey, we did.
He definitely was mad at it.
He was not very happy.
You had to do bear crawls?
I'm sure I did. Maybe. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably some like
chances
pencil
are
rolls.
High.
And
yeah.
Chances are high that I had to do some kind of a punishment.
Right.
But look, we won the game.
That's all that matters.
This team came all the way down from Missouri.
Yeah.
They had a great running back. And the play call, like we had already PTSD, had already been in a situation where it didn't work out.
You had to do what you had to do.
You had to do what you had to do. And so
get it by any means.
Yeah, and we won. We won the game. So I apologize 21 years later. And again, if my son did that, maybe I'm not so happy. I don't know.
Well, but what if he scored and he did that?
It'd probably be one of those deals where he'd score and like I would like low dap him up.
Yeah.
You know, like where the coach couldn't see, like
again.
hit him a low dap, like, hey, don't do that again, but nice run.
Yeah.
Although my son plays left tackle.
I was about to say, would he ever be in position to do that?
If he goes back there and takes the snap, we're in some real trouble. Because, he's playing left tackle and nose guard. Although, story time, I did play nose guard until I was a junior as well. So maybe, just maybe. I don't know. Let's see. West Monroe got beat so much by Jake, they made him move to a 1A school. We were very successful. I think I played West Monroe 7 times in my high school career, and we beat them 6.
Oof.
Yeah, so they got us one time in Independence Stadium my sophomore year, but we ended up getting them in the Superdome to win a state championship. So we got the last laugh there.
Someone said, Jesus, don't even steal snaps.
Dude, if somebody at Evangel would have said something like that, it would have made sense. Like, because like when you're at a Christian school like that and you're really mad, like you come up with like the most random things to say, and you're like, that didn't even make sense. And they're going to bring Jesus into this conversation
100%.
somehow, some way.
Yeah. Jesus
I
wouldn't
think
have
Cassie
stolen
knows what I'm talking
snap.
about. She went to a Christian school as well. So
You get
those
it,
coaches
Cassie.
get very creative. Right, Cassie? We're going to make you talk for the first time?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so, like, they can't curse, but they're going to bring up Jesus, and they're going to make you feel bad about it.
Yes.
Yeah, which they tried to do. But I'm like, Coach, we won the game. Jesus would be happy. We're praying after the game, after a victory. Notre Dame does it. Everybody does it, right? So
Catholic guilt is very real.
we were at, I guess we were non-denominational school. But you went to a Catholic school, right?
I did go to a Catholic
Okay.
school. It was an all-girls Catholic school.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that yesterday. Yeah, we don't have those up in the Port City. Like our Catholic schools, where Hunt Palmer went to school, Loyola, they're
like
not-
they're,
boys and girls. Yeah,
oh,
it's not.
okay.
They don't have like a sister school.
Yeah.
Or anything. At
I
least
mean,
I'm
I
pretty
just
sure I have that right.
went to public school.
Well,
I'm a product of
I
public
grew
school.
up in Texas. We can go to public school
Well,
there.
Yeah. I don't know. I think being a public school person's like bad connotation to it, but some people make fun of people that go to public school.
Well, especially in New Orleans. Like I went
Yeah.
to a Catholic high school like in New Orleans. So I got threatened to go to public school. It's like that's a bad thing.
And I'm just like,
Well, I went to
living my
public
best
school
life.
through middle school and or up until middle school, like 7th grade, I think is when I made the move over, and strictly for football. It wasn't for anything else.
Right.
Like we had to do, so my brother and I, because we were balling on a budget, we had to do work study where it meant like we worked in the summertime, mowed grass, picked up trash, whatever around the school to pay for our tuition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because like it would have been probably too much for
Yeah.
my parents to have two.
Yeah.
Or we had three actually. And so we did like work study, like we basically paid off our tuition through that.
Dang, I worked for my school and didn't even.
They didn't give you nothing.
Yeah, like in
Yeah.
softball, we used to have to like rake our own field. And I was telling y'all the other day, like we used to have to do the tarp ourselves, like roll out the tarp and roll it back up.
Yep.
And one day somebody lost their phone in the tarp, so we had to roll it out,
That sucks.
find the phone, and then roll it back
Yeah.
up. And it was like
Yeah.
4 of us
Yeah,
that
that's
day.
brutal.
Yeah.
That is brutal. Nookie says, Jake
Free
admitting
labor.
7 years of high school.
I know, 'cause he said he
no.
played 7
So
times.
I went to a school that had K through 12. And when you're on the same campus, you can play varsity football in the 8th grade. So in the 8th grade, I was on all special teams for the varsity team.
Dang.
And so that's
In
how I
8th
got
grade?
a chance to play. Yeah, it was terrifying, like in a
8th
good way.
grade
Like,
on varsity, that's crazy.
yeah, it was a team that won a national championship too. So like I felt completely out of place.
Yeah.
Like I felt like those were grown men, and I was
Yeah.
like this little boy, and I'm like trying to just not screw it up. So that's how I got so many chances against West Monroe. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, did not know that was going to go there. But when we come back, let's talk some New Orleans Saints with our guy Ross Jackson, and we'll do it right here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to getgordon.com. That is the website where you can do it all. Okay, you can ask a question and get it answered on the website. You can get a free consultation set up on the website. You can find past client results and cases they can handle for you in the courtroom. You guessed it, on the website. So it is a great tool for you to be able to find out what the G Team can do for you. And if you want to find out more information on the G Team and some of your favorite athletes here in the state of Louisiana, well, it's that handle that we always give you, at Get Gordon, on all major social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it might be. They've got amazing things that are always going on in the community as well. It's not just things they're doing with athletes, but it's like what they're doing. And we talk about it all the time. And their different giveaways during the holiday season. I mean, they are in this community, and you really get a sense of how deep they are in this community on their social media. So again, at Get Gordon is always going to be the handle. GetGordon.com is the website. But in the state of Louisiana, your area code followed by 888-8888. Get Gordon and get it done.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of
I'm out on Friday, but Musso is in. Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Musso talking some LSU football and catching you up on everything in the college baseball postseason. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in to OTB here on a Friday morning. And it is always our pleasure to catch up with our next guest. Ross Jackson, host of Locked On Saints, joins us now. Ross, we appreciate the time this morning. Thanks for hopping on.
Oh, anytime, I do. Thanks so much for having me on, man.
All right, so before we get to the on-the-field stuff going on at OTAs for the Saints, like what's the latest you're hearing with the Saints and the Superdome renovations and this $11 million that is owed? Because the Superdome's about to host a Super Bowl, and obviously, like, there's not a lot of time for delays there in those renovations.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, man. I mean, you know, you've got the LSED saying that the Saints ain't paid their bills, basically, and the Saints are saying, well, we ain't paid because you didn't give us any papers, and they're going, what papers you talking about? And so, I don't know. The way I keep telling everybody is, like, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman, and that's kind of outside of my scope in terms of all that, but I'm sure this is just one of those things where, you know, either they're going to fall in line and they're going to get this corrected or they're not, and if they don't, then it could be pretty detrimental for, I mean, look, it's already paused the Smoothie King renovation.
Right.
That probably puts a hold already now on the Superdome renovations, which I know, you know, there's the Super Bowl part of it, of course, but there's also still the home fan part of it, where there's a whole season where Saints fans are going to be in that building, are going to be in that arena and in that stadium for, you know, almost at 17 games, but 9 games this season with the extra home game going their way. To me, like, those are the things that's kind of the thing that I think should kind of light the fire up under them. so that maybe they can stop talking about all these papers and start moving the paper. You know what I mean? And I think that's got to be everybody's got to kind of come together on this and get it right, not just for the Super Bowl, but for the home fans.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and I'd love to see the Smoothie King Center, get touched up as well, something we've talked about a long time here on OTB, so hopefully that does get done. All right, Ross, let's talk about OTAs. Probably the biggest thing coming out of OTAs, at least over the last couple of days, it feels like, is Trevor Penning at right tackle. Is that somewhere where you think he is going to live? Like, does that feel like the plan moving forward?
Yeah, it's been an interesting one to watch. And, John Benton's comments as well as Jari Evans' comments, both these guys who work very closely with the offensive line, of course, it kind of makes it sound like it's maybe potentially a permanent move for Trevor Penning, assuming that it all works out for him. I think the logic behind it is, look, there's a new system coming in, new roles, new responsibilities. And honestly, let's be real, a system that kind of plays to his strengths a little bit, right? In terms of his aggression, his, run blocking ability, all these other things, his movement ability. So, in order to kind of capitalize on that, I think they looked at it and went, okay, and John Benton, New Orleans Saints offensive line coach, used the phrase fresh start and kind of made the move over to that side to say, you know what, you're learning something new, so let's learn everything new, and then kind of put him over in this other spot. I don't know if it's going to work out, man. And look, there's the other piece of it too, to where you're also moving rookie Taliesin Fuanga from the right side to the left side. And one of the things that we liked about him in draft evaluation and stuff like that, when we were kind of watching him and kind of getting some evaluation on him for shows and things like that, and over at Saints News Network, is that he could play. He was a guy that showed that he can kind of play on both sides throughout his entire playing career, going back even before college. And so, the thing is, do you jeopardize his readiness in favor of the potential for Trevor Penning's longevity? I think that's the one other concern that maybe comes up with it. But look, the Saints did it well with Eric McCoy when they moved him to center. Cesar Ruiz when they moved him to guard. Ryan Ramczyk when they moved him from left side to right side. Landon Young when he's played everywhere on the offensive line. So maybe they get this right again, move Trevor Penning over to right tackle. Maybe that settles him in a little bit, learning something new and learning something from scratch. And then, Taliesin being a guy that can play on both sides, this might work out well for New Orleans. But I think the biggest thing that you kind of have to protect here is the assets. And if you can get both of those guys who are both first-round picks out there, that's a good way to do it.
Ross, if you were going right now, and again, this is May 24th, but if you were going left to right on what you think the opening day Saints offensive line is going to look like, what would that look like for you?
Yeah, man, if I'm going with if I'm submitting to the idea that Taliesin Fuanga is at left tackle and then Trevor Penning's at right tackle, then I would go Taliesin Fuanga at left tackle. I'm going to say early Nick Saldiveri at left guard, but look, there's veteran Shane Lemieux as well as Lucas Patrick that'll compete there for sure. But I'll give the early nod to Nick Saldiveri. I just can't get past the fact that they traded up to the beginning of day 3, the very first pick of day 3 to go and get that guy. I think he's going to be the one that gets kind of that treatment. Then you got Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz, of course, and then Trevor Penning over on the right side. That very well could be what it looks like based upon what we're seeing early on here at OTAs and minicamps. But I'm not going to rule out the idea that the Saints are looking at this as information gathering, and then they still end up swapping Penning back to left and Fuanga back to right if they feel good about where they are.
Now, Ross, one of the position groups that we talked a lot about when it was the NFL draft process, but maybe aren't having those same conversations, and you didn't draft a player early at that position, is receiver. We thought, maybe first round, second round, surely, but then Kool-Aid's there, and you make the move to strengthen your defensive backfield. Like, what's the latest at receiver? If it's Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, who's that 3 right now?
I think right now, A.T. Perry. They love the way that he finished out the season. He didn't really get going until, week 12 when Michael Thomas had that injury in Minnesota. And then when he got going, he really got going. I mean, I know he only had, 18 receptions, but he was only targeted. I think he was targeted less than 30 times. Still walked away with 4 touchdowns out of that. So out of the weeks that he played, he had one of the highest touchdown to target percentages of any player and everything. His ability to, be able to utilize his speed, but also be the big bodied guy that can go up there and make some tough catches. We saw another one at OTAs when he went up with one hand over the top of the defense to bring down a pass, eventually with 2 as he was coming down with, remarkable, impressive play. I think I would still give the lead right now to A.T. Perry. And I'm not going to rule out Bub Means coming in as a 5th round draft pick out of Pittsburgh, still being a guy that can contribute as well. But I think the thing that helps A.T. out is that the Saints have a wide open
spot right now at the X receiver spot, that kind of split end, weak side receiver where Michael Thomas would typically play or has played over the course of the past few years. And A.T. Perry seems like the guy in line to get the at least initial opportunity to compete for that new role. So I think opportunity will be there. The momentum from the end of last season is there. And then, getting the talent is absolutely there as well. So I look at him as a potential breakout guy in 2024.
All right, Ross, we've kind of buried the lead, but now let's have a fullback conversation. It should have been the thing that we started with. So we know, obviously, San Francisco, and they use Juszczyk all over the place, and he is a valuable piece of their offense. And so you get an offensive coordinator in New Orleans that knows that offense, can see the benefits of the fullback, right? And so we can appreciate that. We've seen Taysom Hill over the last couple of days. I even saw him in a 3-point stance. Be still, my forever beating heart. It looks like there is a plan to have Taysom Hill in the backfield and playing some fullback for this Saints offense.
Yeah, and that's going to be really exciting because that just opens up, as you know, a whole litany of ways for him to be utilized. Sure, he'll be a lead blocker one play, he'll be a decoy the next play, but then he's running a route out to the shallow side on one play. He's running a wheel route down the field another play. There's just so much you can do with a guy of his talent level at that spot and from that spot of deployment. And I don't think that's going to mean that he's not also going to take snaps at tight end, in the slot, out wide, even at quarterback. I think all that's still going to be there. But I think one of the things that this kind of helps to mitigate is all of those times last year where Taysom Hill had this really, really good game and then just wasn't utilized for the next two games. This is one of those things that says, okay, they're finding a way to get Taysom Hill out on the field and keep Taysom Hill out on the field because of all the different ways that he can end up being utilized there. And look, Clint Kubiak had his one season with Kyle Juszczyk, and I know there's been a lot of kind of talk around, well, that's not really long enough for him to figure out how all that goes. But look at the way he used C.J. Ham when he was with the Minnesota Vikings as well. I mean, you have seen an emphasis of the fullback. You've seen the emphasis of the fullback anywhere that Clint Kubiak has been and has had the opportunity to be able to do that. So I think that ends up kind of, crediting a little bit to what Clint Kubiak can bring for a guy like Taysom Hill being used out of that deployment, out of that position. And I don't think that Xander Horvath is too far off of that either, because he's another one of these really, kind of uber athletic guys from the position who, when Taysom Hill's not lining up in the backfield and he's out in, the slot or wherever else that might be, Xander Horvath could be a guy that ends up sliding in and having a similar effectiveness as a guy that can not only block and carry, but that can also catch the football.
Yeah, no question. To remember him out of college. Actually, the Chargers drafted him. He certainly has some ability with the football in his hands as well. Catching up with our guy Ross Jackson here on OTB. Ross, want to ask you about Spencer Rattler. Now, I did see a great video, by the way, of the rookies out at a function, and they were eating crawfish, and he's like, no, you don't have to tell me how to eat crawfish. I know how to do it, and also complimented the chef on not dusting the crawfish, and so he's already growing legs with me and I think a lot of the Saints fan base. But what have you seen from him at OTAs here early on?
Yeah, man, I love the when how you said "be still, my forever beating heart." Yes. That was me when he thanked the chef for not dusting the crawfish. I was like, okay, this dude gets it.
He does.
I think what we've seen from Spencer Rattler so far has been a little bit up and a little bit down. Yeah. As you know, the NFL is not a linear experience for guys that are coming in. And so he showed up, rookie minicamp, looked fantastic. No problems calling plays, no problems getting in and out of the huddles, always made the right decision with the football that day. He went 11 for 12 that day, looked really, really good, especially his connection with Bub Means down the field was awesome, particularly in the middle of the field, which was something that the Saints, particularly in the intermediate area last year, didn't take advantage of too much. We've seen a little bit more of that from all quarterbacks here. But then he got into OTAs this past week, and things kind of took a little bit of a step back. Okay, we had a little bit of trouble, had to rehuddle a couple of times, couple of false starts, threw an interception. The play immediately after he threw the interception, which was off of a tip drill, but his placement on the ball was just way too high for Jacob Kade. He ended up, trying to get a pass into Kyle Sheets, and Isaiah Stallbird, the undrafted free agent linebacker, ends up being able to undercut it. Could have had an interception there, but ended up being a pass breakup. I think the thing that you look at there is this doesn't mean that everything's over for Spencer Rattler. It was his first OTA practice. It was his first time working with some of the veterans that were there. So timing gets off, when you end up and you're working with a bunch of other guys that are coming in as rookies, you're all kind of working at the same speed. When you've got some, a veteran or two or three sprinkled into your rotation, all of a sudden everything speeds up around you. And so I'm really interested to see now how he manages the adversity that he faced. Now he's had, a couple of other practices already this week. We'll be out there again next week, and that'll be our opportunity to kind of see him after that first OTA practice. So this just gives us an opportunity to say, okay, that's where the foundation, that's where the baseline is. Now let's watch him and see if he's able to build upon that. So I'm excited to see that from him. He's got all the tools. He's got a lot of upside. I don't think any of that changes because of one OTA practice where he did struggle a little bit.
Ross Jackson, host of Locked On Saints, good enough to join us here on OTB. Ross, we appreciate you making time for us this morning, and we always look forward to the next one.
Hey, man, right back at you. I appreciate y'all. Take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to you here soon. All right, bud?
All right, you as well, the great Ross Jackson. Talking New Orleans Saints here with us on OTB. All right, we got to take our final break of the morning. We're going to put a bow on this edition of OTB. We'll do it right here when we come back on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to ColemanRoof.com. ColemanRoof.com. Remember, not just roofing. Now, anything you have, roofing, residential, commercial, they can certainly handle any job in the state of Louisiana, also the Gulf South region. Like if you want to find out the contact information for your region, go to ColemanRoof.com. It's right there at the top banner of the website. But we always tell you, right, if you're going through a storm and you do find out you have a leak in your roof, this is at your home or your business, and as we know, like that leak can really do some damage to the interior of your home, floors and drywall, whatever the situation might be. Well, the best part about Coleman Roofing is they are a one-stop shop. So they can come in because of the construction side of Coleman Roofing and Construction. They can come in, they can fix everything in the interior of your home, and also, of course, fix a leak on your roof. And so have them come out today if you have a situation going on. ColemanRoof.com is always going to be that website. Find the contact information again for your city, like in Baton Rouge, 225-379-7663, ColemanRoof.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Riot Radio Hours return. We're recapping LSU South Carolina, getting you ready for a weekend in Hoover. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. I want to remind you about our friends over at MMR. MMRGRP.com is the website. And if you want to find out more information, you can go to their website. It is set up for success, but also any search engine, MMR Group, MMRGRP, whatever you want to type in there, it's going to pull up the careers they have available, the locations. It gives you an idea of their incredible campus off Airline Highway. You'll be blown away by that as well. MMRGRP.com. All right, let's see if we can get at least one Ask the Bench brought to you by coworkers like Busy Arts, Delta Blue Moon, Light Sky, Citrus Sweet. Ask the Bench, who goes for the Tigers tomorrow? I got no
Griffin.
idea. I got no idea.
I say throw Griffin out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jay Johnson has shown you he is going to go for a victory. It ain't going to be, hey, let's just roll the guy out there and just roll over and play dead. They're in the winners bracket for a reason. They're in the semifinal for a reason. So it's going to be something that they have planned and they think gives them the best foot forward to go out there and win that semifinal game against the winner of Kentucky and South Carolina. We appreciate y'all. We thank y'all. We'll see you same time, same place on Tuesday for OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to Ac10BR.com. Ac10BR.com is the website. And look, if you have a situation that has already happened, I apologize because it's hot. It is hot out there. But if you want to make sure that you don't fall into that situation, you need to be a part of the Star membership over at Ag-Temp. Now, if it's already happened, they can certainly come in and they can help you out. They're going to get you back up and running ASAP, faster than anybody else out there. You can just, if you don't want to believe us, just check the reviews online. The internet hates everything, but they love Ag-Temp. So they can get that done. But also, like, if you want to make sure that it doesn't happen, right? They'll come out, they'll check your system. Hey, here's what we had to do. Here's the plan. Here's how we get you back on the path. Or maybe your system is working fine. Maybe you don't have to do anything. But it's always that peace of mind of knowing that your system is working like it's supposed to because the heat is here in South Louisiana. It's not going anywhere. And have Ag-Temp out to the house to make sure that you're up and running. AgTempBR.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.